thepascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good afternoon and good evening. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are finding this show in great spirits, because another day above the dirt is always a blessing. Let's not forget that, guys. Let's not forget that. Most importantly, another day above the dirt is a blessing. Yeah, sorry, guys. I hit the wrong button with starting the show and all that. It happens. Those mistakes happen, damn it. Those kinds of mistakes happen, y'all. But here's the thing. There was a press conference that happened just a little bit ago, okay, that we need to take a look at, because this all revolves around Nolan Wells. This all revolves around the case. It revolves around Christine Elmore and Benjamin Crump and Reverend Al Sharpton. They all got together at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention and had a press conference talking about this, trying to see if they can get a federal investigation going for this particular case. Yes, guys, for Nolan Wells. So we've got to get into it. So please do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Crush the do. Okay? Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick. I'm on all of them, so make sure you hit that follow button. Follow. Hit that subscribe button right here on my YouTube channel. Please and thank you. Subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. Go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. I also have a new channel called Pascal Shorts. Go over there and subscribe over there as well if you can. That'd be greatly appreciated. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out that Patreon. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com. PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there, so go check it out. PascalMerch.com. Okay, guys. We got to get straight into this. There's a lot going on today. There's some things I wanted to talk to you about yesterday, but there was a tragedy that happened at a daycare in Minnesota, which is absolutely heartbreaking. It was insane. 3 people lost their lives. One of them happened to be a child in a in-home child daycare. They say that the witnesses, that were in that house, in that daycare, were all children, except for one adult that was dropping off their own kid. And they're saying that the oldest was at least 5. Yeah. 5 years old. So it was absolutely terrifying, heartbreaking, etc. So we couldn't really do any Nolan Wells coverage or updates on that. But there are some new updates that we do need to talk about. There is something that just happened. There is a press conference that just happened over at the National Association of Black Journalists, their convention over there. And they're basically saying that the family, Nolan Wells' family, is basically trying to get more investigations going on with this particular case. All right. They want more transparency. They want more accountability. They want more truth, and they want more insight on what actually happened to their son. We are going to discuss a few things in the interim, okay, throughout the course of this show. There are a few things that we need to talk about in regards to Nolan Wells' phone and the fact that the family is still in possession of Nolan's phone. We're going to talk about that as well, because we do need to talk about that, okay? And I think that there is a strong reason why they did that, okay? There's a reason why they decided to do that, in my personal opinion, okay? There's a reason. I don't think that it's anything nefarious or suspicious going on the side of the family, which is what some corners of the world are running with, okay? I did a video about that yesterday. I posted it. Not a lot of y'all watched it. It's totally fine, but we are going to discuss that on this particular show as well, all right? But nonetheless, the family is basically begging now for the feds to get involved in this investigation and see if they can unearth some truths about what possibly happened to Nolan Wells. So we're going to get into that here. We're going to be checking out the press conference as well. Okay, that just happened a little bit ago. All right. Yes, I'm a little late to showing you guys what happened, but we're here nonetheless to talk about it. And then there's a part 2 of Brandon Tatum's interview with the boys that we definitely need to talk about and take a look at as well. So, like I said, this is going to be a big Nolan Wells show. All right. So strap on in, sit down, get your libations, get your coffee, your water, your juices, whatever you want to call it. All right. We're going to get into this right now. So again, they were at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention today in Atlanta. Okay. And of course, Al Sharpton, Benjamin Crump, and Nolan Wells' parents were there in this interview. And there's so much more that they explained. I'm really happy that we're going to be watching it together because there's some things that were said in the this press conference that give us more insight on like the timeline of everything. When did Warren reach out to Nolan's mama? What was the interaction like when they went and got the phone, when they went back and got the keys, etc.? They explain a lot more, okay, in this for sure. All right. Donut, why solidarity is the issue. Thank you so much for the super chat. Why solidarity is the issue. I think that there's a lot of issues going on here. Okay. Multi-leveled. All right. But thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Okay. But yes, I think that there is an issue for sure within that. But that's the thing. I think it has to do with what's going on outside of the case as well. Now, I understand that there's some people that will think that, but there's other things for sure that are going on outside within the perimeter of this case that is becoming white and black. You see what I'm saying? It's getting kind of crazy out here. But nonetheless, let's get into this. All right. So the group is scheduled to attend a press conference. Well, it already happened, just so you know, calling for the DOJ, the Department of Justice, to open an independent federal review into Wells' disappearance and death. So the Congressional Black Caucus is also calling for a closer look at the case. That's also a big freaking deal, in my personal opinion. In a letter sent Wednesday, Chair Yvette D. Clarke and members of the caucus urged the U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche and FBI Director Kash Patel to launch an independent review of the actual case. Now, here's the thing. I could have sworn there was already a request of this before. Wasn't there a request of this before? Wasn't there? So I find it interesting that they said the feds were going to be standing on the side. If my memory is correct, they said that the feds weren't getting involved, but they were also on the side just waiting if they need help. If the local PD needs help. Now, here's the problem. We're all side-eyeing local PD, including Nolan Wells' parents. They don't trust nothing. They don't trust them as far as they can throw them. So shouldn't the feds get involved in this situation? Shouldn't the feds have already been involved in this situation a long-ass time ago? Just asking questions. Now, hold on. Let me just say this really quick, too. T, I agree. We need solidarity of good versus evil. That's the only division that should matter in a case like this or in cases like this. I agree. But you know how polarizing this case has become. Let's be real. It's either black or white. There's no real in between, right? And both sides can be seen as only seeing it in one way, right? We need more transparency. That's the reason why we need the facts. We need facts and not all this fabricated AI crap or just fabricated stuff. The more facts come out, the more truths, the more understanding we will actually get. That's what I'm hoping for, right? I think that's what we should all be hoping for, right? But moving on, Let's get back into this, though. Crump, who represents the Wells family, has also repeatedly called for a thorough and transparent investigation into Wells' demise. Crump's team is also conducting its own investigation. And so are the boys. So are the boys conducting their own investigation, which I'm going to be real. I find that odd. I find that extremely odd. No one else finds that odd? That they're conducting their own independent investigation into this case, into this whole situation? Shouldn't they all be trying to, come together and work together? Because I'm sure information that they might uncover might be important information for the Wells family as well. You see what I'm saying? And I get it that the family's not really trusting them, right? They're not trusting them, and it's, you know what I mean? It's this one big situation going on. You feel me? But it's so weird. I find it weird. I also find the interviews with Brandon Tatum weird too. I'm gonna keep it a bean. I find them weird. Doesn't matter if they're innocent or not. Doesn't matter. To me, I find it weird. Okay? I find this whole thing very strange. But I guess that's how they're gonna do it, I guess. Okay? Something weird about it, though. All right, but let's move on. Let's continue. Wells was reported missing, which we already know. Okay, an independent autopsy, we already know about that. Let's not forget, pieces of his body did not show up to the second autopsy that was funded by Colin Kaepernick. That independent autopsy did not happen. That's weird. Or that second autopsy did happen, I'm sorry, but he was not able to give a full, thorough breakdown of, hey, this is my diagnosis. Within this investigation, we found X, Y, and Z, and X, Y, and Z shows us that he died from drowning or that he was attacked viciously on the island. You see what I'm saying? But he can't even give us that answer. No answer for that. So that's weird too. Do you see so do you understand why the possibility of the family not giving the phone over to authorities so quickly? Do you now understand why that could be a possibility? Because I know some people are running with that, being like, oh, the reason why is because of this, that, and the third. And it's like, no, I think there's a much bigger reason than what you're laying out right here. And it's because of history. It's because of weird things that are going on. It's because of things like the autopsy, of the second autopsy that was done, saying that his throat was missing. Stuff like that is weird and would give me great pause into giving some potentially viable piece of evidence of a case over to authorities that you don't even trust. But don't worry, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, okay? Real quick, Chelsea, thank you so much for the love. Tatum lied. They never did any lie detector tests. See, that's the thing, too. He said I remember this, too, so thank you so much for that. But he also said something along the lines of something crazy like, yeah, they took some semblance of it. He first said they took a lie detector test. Then he walked it back and said they took some version of a lie detector test. So what is it? Is it a lie detector test that they took, or is it not a lie detector that they took? You see what I'm saying? And that's something that Brandon Tatum said live on Nancy Grace. That's a big problem if you ask me. That's a big problem. But okay. Like I said, all right, that's what you said, Brandon Tatum. Let's see what's going on. Like I said, we need more facts. We need more proof. We need more evidence before we can automatically sit here and say, oh, yeah, they're completely 110% innocent. Or, no, they did the damn thing. We need more proof. Okay? We need more proof. But Tater Buck, thank you so much for the love. I'm not making a decision until evidence comes out. I agree. What happened to innocent until proven guilty? Great job, man. Thank you so much, Tater Buck. Appreciate it. Now, here's the thing. We need that's the thing. Like, I agree. Innocent until proven guilty. That's the whole reason why I say, hey, we can all side eye. We can give these kids a soft side eye all day long. But we need more evidence. We need more proof. We need to know what actually happened here. But the fact is that we haven't heard any new updates. really. We're getting some interviews. We're getting, those things that are happening, but we haven't heard anything else, really. No new updates, no nothing. The only thing that people are talking about, aside from this press conference that we're going to be looking at in just a second, is the fact that they haven't released the phone to the authorities. And let me just say this. We definitely need to talk about the phone part. And it's wrong for everyone for those that are thinking that it's something sinister going on. I think it's wrong for them to be taking it that way. Real talk. I think it's ridiculous for people to sit there and say, "Oh, they're not giving the phone to the authorities. It's wrong that they're doing that. How dare they do that?" No, there's a reason why they did it. And I already said this in the video, but I'm going to say right now, and I'm probably going to repeat it again when we cross that bridge again. All right? It's two different things. One, there was an agreement that was made. And two, trust. That's it. One, an agreement was made way before this, okay? Way before this whole situation of they haven't given the phone to the authorities. There was an agreement that was made. And two, trust. And two, I think is the biggest one right there. Trust, y'all. Trust. But let us get into this press conference. Let's take a listen to what's going on here. Let's rock and roll. I'm going to skip ahead, of course.
And Crump and Reverend Al. And I know you all have other challenges happening around the country that you'll be getting to after this, but I am we are all so honored to meet you, and we are so saddened that we are connecting with you under these circumstances. You know, I want to tell you, they asked me to call them Christine and Elmore. I want to say Mr. and Mrs. Wansley, but Christine and Elmore. I want to tell you in the audience in this room, but also watching at home, are thousands of Black journalists. But in addition to being Black journalists, these are mothers and fathers, siblings, cousins, aunts and uncles of Black children. And we see your humanity. And we're going to center that in this conversation. There you go.
Here.
I told Christine if we cry on this stage, it's okay, because we're among family.
Amen.
So you take your time. Christine, I'm going to start with you. On Friday, July 3rd, Nolan made you dinner. And so as you're telling us about the last time you saw your baby boy, I want you to talk to us about who Nolan was and tell us about that day.
So Nolan is and was an incredible, just incredible soul. He was the person who, no matter where you were in life or what was going on, he was going to be your biggest cheerleader. And I can attest to that because after COVID, my sister was like, "Oh, you should do social media." And I'm like, "I don't want to do social media. I like to just watch others." And then Nolan was like, "No, Mom, you should do it. I'll help you with the videos. I got you." And, just anytime I was like, "Oh, I just really don't want to do this anymore," Nolan was like, "No, Mama, you haven't posted today." And I'm like, "I don't want to post. I'm tired."
Yeah.
But, that's the kind of person he was. He was God-fearing, God-loving. That boy had faith beyond measure. He was just a bright light. And he was our bright light. As far as that day goes, I went to work, and he was making salmon. So he was FaceTiming me as I'm trying to see patients kind of in between, of course, not answering the phone in the room. And he's like, "Hey, Mama, how does this look? Is this enough season? Like, what am I supposed to do with this?" And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "You don't have to do that." And he's like, "No, I'm going to take care of it." I was like, okay, sure. And so he finishes cooking, get home. He's like, yeah, what you know about this? And he was, guys, when I tell you, he loved to joke. Like, he was just one of those people. He wanted everyone around him to smile, be happy, feel comfortable and accepted. And that is the kind of person God made him. You know, us as parents, we definitely had that influence, but Nolan was just naturally a peacemaker.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, after that, it was, 8, and then he got ready to go. He did his normal, hugged us up, I love you, Mom. I was like, be safe, knowing this was going to be his last weekend before going back to school because football was starting, the summer training was starting. And this was his second year at Southwest, and so we knew this was going to be a big year for him. Dad and him had been training and doing all these things and really just kind of sitting with him and letting him know, like, hey, we're going to the next stage in your life as well as, your football career. So the focus was there, and he was ready.
So he leaves that day.
He leaves that day with, he drives his car, and he told us kind of a general, like, hey, we're going to go to the island. Like, we knew that, staying at Jack's house. And Jax was a friend I think we've met in passing before. And that's the thing, I always say there's a difference in meeting someone, knowing of someone, and then knowing someone. Knowing implies that we've sat down, we've had discussions about your hopes, your dreams, knowing you, okay, hey, he stayed the night at my house, which Wyatt, one of his friends, he had stayed at our house a couple of times. And then Jax, again, that was one I just maybe saw in passing a few times. There was only a handful of young men that we actually knew, like, he grew up with. And when I say grew up, I'm saying from like first grade, they've known each other all through high school now that they're graduated. And that would be like Jalen and Javon, LeBaron. Those are kids that we knew. So it's been hard seeing all this kind of play out.
Yeah.
And, these are people that he considered friends.
Yes. Dad, I want to ask you, because it was Warren Hudson, one of the people that he traveled with, who called to alert you all that Nolan was missing.
Yes.
So we know at 5:44, the boat returns, Nolan is not there. At 11 p.m., he calls to say Nolan is missing. I wonder if either of you, whoever wants to answer, what happened in those few hours that prompted Warren to be concerned?
I'm not quite sure what would prompt him to be concerned, but all I can say is what I did that day. So me and my sister, we made an order of pancit, which is a Filipino noodle dish for one of our friends. They were having a big family get-together, and we really didn't have anything planned for the 4th. So me and my sister are, cleaning up, and this is about 8. And she's like, hey, Nolan hasn't texted us. Like, and that was the thing. Nolan was really big with communication with us, right? And so I call him, doesn't answer. I end the call. Call back, and this is probably, I think, maybe around 8. Don't quote me on the times, guys. So then I call again later around 8, still no answer. And then I want to say I called one more time, and I think that was at like 10:48. So I'm in the kitchen, my phone rings. Now this is probably like early 11 o'clock, somewhere around there. Phone rings when I make it back to the phone, and I'm like, whose number is this? Because, we get weird phone calls sometimes. They didn't leave a message. Number pops back up. I pick up the phone because it says maybe Warren. And I'm like, Warren? So this is 11:07. That's per my cell phone records. So I answered the phone, and he's like, hey, Miss Christine, have you seen or talked to Nolan? I said, no. Why? He should be with you guys. And he said, oh, no, well, when we went to the island, there was a girl named Katie that he met, and he had decided to stay behind. And I said, what? Because we know our child. And Nolan isn't one to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to throw caution to the wind, and I'm going to stay here with this girl that I just met. So I'm on the phone with him. Now I'm in a panic. I'm running into my room. Elmore was in bed watching a different movie, and I'm like frantic. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, Nolan is missing. I'm trying to pull up the GPS as I'm talking to him. And at some point, he tells me that, I was like, well, his phone says GPS Life 360, not Snapchat.
Right.
Life 360 says that he's on land. And he was like, well, no, I mean, well, we have his phone. And I'm like, wait, what? And I'm like, okay. Because at that point, you're telling me, this is coming from Warren, don't worry about it. We're going to find him. It's going to be okay. Don't tell me not to worry. This is my child, my flesh and blood that I brought into this world. And you're telling me not to worry.
Okay, so real quick, because I know some of y'all like turned it all up, okay? So I'm going to try to speak kind of low, all right? But one thing that's for sure, do you blame, okay, the volume's trash over there with this live feed. And I have everything turned all the way up, just so you guys know. But I do want to point something out. Do you blame a grieving mother? Do you blame any parent for reacting in the way that she's reacting? Because remember, according to her, she's saying that Warren on the phone was like, hey, everything's fine. Like, don't worry. It's fine, but let me just jump ahead really quick to the future, okay, to what actually ended up happening. He was found 2 days later washed up ashore. So she had every right to be upset. She had every right to be like, wait a second, that doesn't sound like my son, right? She has every right to be mad and to be side-eyeing these boys. Because she's only getting that information from them. It's not like she's getting this information from other people. It's not like she's getting this information from, some sort of cop or anything of that sort. She's getting a phone call from one of his alleged best friends saying, hey, yeah, he stayed back to hang out with Katie. He stayed back to hang out with a girl. When in actuality, he was missing altogether. So, and then the fact that the phone wasn't with him at all, it doesn't make sense. Now, let me just say this. Because you still have to factor other things. I believe what the mom believes. I believe that she believes that, hey, my son would not leave his cell phone behind anywhere. My son would not just go and run after some girl. But here's the other thing. Sorry, but we have to put those other factors on the table because we still don't know everything yet. There's some other factors here. There's a possibility he was trying to talk to a girl. I don't know. Maybe he was trying to get lucky. I have no idea. But it is strange to me that if he's known to always be attached to his phone and he not have it on the day that he goes missing, it's weird, y'all. None of his belongings, nothing? That's weird, fam. You know for a fact that's weird. So do we blame the parents for sitting there side-eyeing the situation, side-eyeing the information? Also, you got to remember, let's not forget what we've heard. His friends are saying he was going to go and hang out with Katie and find another ride home, which is, in my personal opinion, wild. Okay? If you went down with somebody and you don't have any other way of going back to the crib, going back to the mainland, you're just hoping, you're gambling that you're possibly going to run into somebody else that's willing to let you be on their boat, right? And you're leaving all your belongings somewhere else. That's weird. But here's the thing. You hear one thing from the friends, right? From the boys that he went down with. He said he was going to go hang out with Katie. And then you hear from Katie. And Katie says, no, he said he's going back to hang out with them and jump on the boat and go back to the mainland with them. Isn't that weird? Wouldn't that cause some level of suspicion? Forget the phone, okay? Forget the phone being, erased. Just the pure fact of his phone being on that boat, being sent out to the mainland, and he would have no way of being able to contact anybody I think is strange as hell. And then you have the conflicting stories coming from the boys and from Katie. And I keep on saying this, and I'm going to keep saying it ad nauseum, okay, until somebody listens. But they still need to start asking questions to Katie. People need to start asking questions. It's so wild that we're only obsessed and focused just on the boys and this sinking boat and trying to get the boat unsank. There's something up. There's a timeline here, because if nothing happened to him on the boat, and if nothing happened to him around the boat, and the boat left to go to the mainland, right? And he was stuck on that island. I'm just saying, we still have to talk about those other possibilities. We can't only just hover over the doggone boat and only the boat. We are hearing stories that he was hanging out with Katie. There's other stories of him being seen on the island. So why aren't we looking into those things? Yes, we need to look at that information. Yes, we need to see what's going on with these, on the boat, outside the boat, the audio for the audio that Wyatt, the phone call that Wyatt was making to the sea tow to get the boat unsank and towed out to the mainland. We got to look at that stuff too. But there needs to be obsession over on the other half of this timeline that they say exists. Because here's the thing. If that timeline does exist, then we need more facts on that. And if it doesn't exist, we need facts to prove that that timeline doesn't exist. You see what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. We need to be looking at the cell phone call or the sea tow call and all that. But there's so much more after 3 p.m. that we're not even looking at, y'all. Everyone's pointing at Bart. Everyone's pointing at Wyatt and Warren and Jax and Morgan and any of the other guys that are on the boat. Fine. By all means, keep looking at them. Keep asking those questions. Keep pushing and applying pressure. But we need to talk about the other part too, because here's the thing. If we find out that he really was on the island, after those guys left, then that tells us that we have a whole other timeline that we need to know what the hell happened. You see what I'm saying? It's weird that his phone was with the boat, on the boat, and that he didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy, that part. But if Katie's telling us that he said he was going to go back to the boat, what if she's lying, man? I'm just saying. As much as we're looking at the boys and saying, hey, they're probably lying. What if Katie's lying too? We got to look at all the possibilities in this investigation. Just like any detective, right? They're not only just looking at one possibility. They're walking down many avenues to see what could be the truth. And if they end up in a dead end on one path of a theory, then they scrap that theory and they go back to the drawing board and then they go towards another theory. You see what I'm saying? There's more to this. People think that they've solved this case through the sea tow audio, and I'm telling you right now, I think that there's more to this story. I think that there's a whole lot more to this story, and we're looking solely in one direction when we need to open our eyes up even more. You got boys saying that he was wanting to hang out with Katie. You got Katie saying he was going to go back and hang out with the boys and go back to the mainland on that sinking boat. Someone's not telling the truth. Right there. So we need to look. We really need to look at the other avenues, the other angles here. Yes, keep an eye on the guys. Keep an eye on those boys. All right? Most definitely. But you got two conflicting stories. Katie knows something. Katie saw something. Or maybe she saw something and she just doesn't realize that something happened. But if he really was there on the island after that boat left, then we have a whole other timeline that we need to look into. But I don't blame this family for side-eyeing the boys, side-eyeing everybody on that mother-loving island. All of them are suspects at this point. All of them. All of them are suspects, y'all, in my personal opinion. Okay? Anything's possible. This is just crazy. But let's continue. All right? Let's continue. You can turn the volume back up, okay? I'll give you a warning if I interrupt this press conference again.
Absolutely not. So then it was after the phone call ended, of course, asking him for information. What was he wearing? He was like, last seen, Northwest tip, black shorts, sunglasses. That's important. So I end up calling DMR, spoke with the DMR. She took all
Just for our audience, DMR.
So DMR is because he went missing on the island. They are basically the marine people, right? They're the ones who's going to launch the boats to go into the water and all that. But before getting off the phone with Warren, he was like, hey, I know some people at Coast Guard. I said, okay. He's like, I'm going to call Coast Guard, you call DMR. Get on the phone with DMR. I give the young lady the information. And she tells me, hey, you know, I got this. Let me call you back. Because she was like, I'm not sure if this is going to be in our jurisdiction, essentially. So then she calls back and she tells me, okay, yeah, you know, we spoke with Coast Guard. And I'm like, okay, but they're like, this isn't our jurisdiction. You have to contact the city of Ocean Springs. I said, okay, hang up the phone, call in Ocean Springs Police Department. They say, hey, you have to physically come down and give a report. I said, okay, so on our way, because we don't live that far from the police station, on our way there, I was like, well, let me stop by the hospital, because there's a hospital that's maybe 5 minutes up the road from our house. Stop by there. I'm like, hey, have you guys seen this kid? Has he been brought in? The lady's like, no, ma'am, you know, we hadn't. I said, okay, thank you. Run out. We go to the police department. Get to the police station, and the officer basically says, again, this is out of our jurisdiction. And at that point, I'm like, my God, who am I supposed to talk to? Who is supposed to help me with this?
So why didn't somebody go to her, aside from them saying, hey, this is not within our jurisdiction? Why didn't they provide information on someone who is, or some department that is within that jurisdiction? Hopefully she answers that. Hopefully they did answer that, but that's insane that she just kept on getting declined over and over and over again because of where this island is set at. That's insane.
So then he said, it's going to be, you would have to call DMR. I was like, we've already called DMR. DMR said it's not in their jurisdiction. So we end up, I think at some point I had called Jackson County Sheriff's Office, yeah. So she calls back and she's like, hey, are you there? I said, yes, we're here, but he's telling us the same thing you guys told us, which is no, we can't take it. She gets on the phone with the police officer. Now this is Jackson County Sheriff's Department speaking with the Ocean Springs Police Department. Ocean Springs Police Department is saying, this is why we can't take this information. She says, okay. He gives me the phone back, and she's like, okay, I'm just gonna take it. I'm just gonna take the information. And that was, we met an officer, it was after midnight. Right? Yeah, it was somewhere after midnight. Met him in the McDonald's parking lot, gave him the information. He was just like, okay, thanks. And I was like, like, where is the urgency? And so, as far as we know, there were no boats on the water that night. We actually, his high school football coach, Coach Bramlett, texted Elmore that morning. He said, hey man, I got a boat. Because again, we don't have boats. Let me make that very clear. We do not have a boat. We're not boating people. We don't do water like that, okay? So Coach Bramlett's like, hey, I got a boat. So we was like, great, let's go. We're on the water. We go out there. We walk the island. Cell phone works perfectly fine. I actually had almost an entire conversation with my grandmother, who was in a panic, as we're walking this island looking for anything.
I just want to pause there. The cell phone worked fine, because in the reporting, there's been so much reporting that there's poor cell phone reception. And this is some of the disputes that we have about that night. Dad, feel free to jump in here, because they're saying he met this young lady, Katie, and that he stayed back. According to the reporting, Katie is saying no. He said he was going to go with his friends. According to the reporting, the friends say, no, he left us his phone because there was no reception. Dad, have you found any consistencies? Have you spoken directly with any of his friends?
Well, the first inconsistency was you called me and tell me my son stayed on the island to talk to a girl. My son would never do that. That's not in his character. I didn't raise none of my kids to do that. The second thing is, you say he doesn't have his phone. He doesn't leave his phone. I would wake up sometimes in the morning and Nolan would have his phone here right in my face. And I'm waking up cussing and fussing like, boy, you don't get the camera on my face. And he just laughing and giggling and stuff like that. So that's twice. To me, that's 2 lies you told me as a father. Like I said, we went on the island. And actually, a classmate of mine called me that morning as we were going out to the island with Nolan's coach. He's like 40 miles away. He calls in, hey man, I got the boat. Me and my boys, we're gonna go out there and help you look. I didn't call him, he called me. And we're gonna start on this end. Well, I said, well, we're probably gonna start on the other end. So me, my wife, Coach Bramley, and a high school classmate of mine were the only, we were the first ones out there looking. Like I said, we docked the boat, got out the boat, walked on the island. She had a whole conversation with her grandmother on the island, got back on the boat, went back around the island. I guess that would be the north side, facing the Gulf of Mexico. I get another phone call. So my phone worked fine. So this whole thing about not having phone service, I don't know. I don't know if it's the carrier or what, but ours worked fine. I think those around maybe 8 o'clock.
Yeah, because we finished up around.
Who was it? Jackson County or the?
Yeah, Jackson County Sheriff.
Finally showed up.
Yeah.
A couple of boats, they finally showed up. By that time, I was like, he's not out here. I was more focused that he was at someone's house.
That was the
So, that's where my hopes and feelings were. So we left. The county stayed out there. My friend, he stayed out there because he called. He was like, well, we're going to stay out here a little bit longer. I said, okay, I appreciate it. So we leave. Then I would say maybe a couple hours later, my friend calls me back and he said, well, we're going to give it and go. But he said, look, I can gas the boat back up. And if you want to go back out there, we can go back out there. I said, I don't want to go back out to the island. I have a feeling that he's not there. And I don't want to go back to the island. So he offered, well, if you do, we can go right now. I said, don't worry about it. I appreciate you coming out there. But he said at that time that helicopters were out there, more Coast Guard, more people were out there. So we get back on land, and as far as the keys, what was that night? Or was it?
that was that night.
That was the
it
night
like
to call. Okay, let me back up.
early.
As far as getting the car back, after we gave our report to Jackson County, the sheriff department that night, we were trying to figure out who to get a report to. We had a friend in the family that located his phone. We wasn't there to get the phone, but apparently there was some kind of friction with getting his phone.
Yeah.
We don't
And
know
it was
what the friction
so
was.
the phone and the key were at the same location, which was Jack's house.
Okay.
And again, all of these kids share their locations on Snapchat. And so she was like, hey, I can go pick his phone up, not thinking that his car is there, which she stopped everything she was doing. Her and the boys, they went out. Like, we were all out searching for him that night. And yeah, like Elmore was saying, there was an issue, some type of friction. The cops ended up coming and they left. And so then kind of the same thing when we came to pick up the key, Elmore went up there asking for the key, didn't know where the key was, and all of a sudden we know where the key is.
But see, hold on. But see, this is another thing that bothered me too. When we got to the house, it was some of his other friends were there, and they were, beating on the door like, what Nolan there, beating on the door trying to get in the house. So I walk up to the door and I'm calming them down, because for one, okay, you're loud. 2, you're in these people's house. So if you tear these people's house up, that's gonna be a whole nother issue. I don't want y'all bothering that. And 3, I need you guys to calm down, and I need them to kind of trust me as being an adult so I can get something out of it. So I get them out the house, and then Jax finally comes down the stairs, I guess in the room, hair all messed up like he just woke up, whatever. I said, look, I'm Nolan's father. His car's outside. I need to get his car and all his personal effects that may be left over with. And he goes, oh man, Nolan was like my brother. I said, Nolan was like my brother. I said, well, if Nolan was like your brother, would you please go and get everything of his so I can get his car, I can go home. So he walks off. 2 or 3 minutes later, he come back. I don't see the keys. Okay. So I leave out the house, go back outside, stand by the car. During that time, one of the guys that was in the house, one of the other friends, he was on the phone with a girl who was apparently there with them earlier that day. And she was telling him that his keys was on top of the Xbox in his room. So he goes back up to the door by himself, and we're still out by the car. And lo and behold, here comes the keys. So now to me, you lied to me 3 times. I don't believe nothing that you tell me on out.
And this is Jax.
This is Jax.
And eventually he does give you the keys.
Yeah, eventually give me
But
the
there
keys.
was friction getting the keys.
Yes. So for one, you tell me my son
Wow.
is on left still on the island with a girl. 2, you have his phone. And 3, you don't give me the keys when I ask. I don't know any father who would believe, just if one of my friends did that. I'm gonna be cordial with you, but I'm gonna watch you. And
Ben, I want to ask you, because I'm hearing these 2 parents who essentially had to become.
Hold on, we're gonna hear out Benjamin Crump, and I'm sure that she's gonna throw it over to Al Sharpton as well. But I mean, hear that. Let's be real. All of it could be a misunderstanding, but at the same time, you got somebody who is trying to figure out where their son is. Their son is missing. You got their keys. I guess the phone and the keys were in the same place, but they didn't realize that his car was at the same house. He tried to talk to Jax, basically saying, like, can I get the keys to my son's car so I can get his car out of here? He goes, oh, he was a brother to me. He's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. I get it. But can you please go inside and get the doggone keys? Please and thank you. Right? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he comes back out and says, I don't know where the keys are. I can't find them. And he's like, okay, all right, bet. And then he leaves, or he goes over to the car, kind of like, what the hell, And then suddenly out of nowhere, he's like, oh no, I found the keys. Here they are. That's weird. It's weird. Especially when you had to go out of your way to get the phone in the first place. Then you got to go out of your way to get the keys as well. So again, like, that is just ridiculous. Okay? And plenty of people misplace their keys all the time. And I get that, maybe the kid was he's mentally in disarray as well. You know what I mean? His friend is missing. He's freaking out too. There's a lot of emotions going on, but at the same time, it is weird. Father shows up and says, I need the keys to my son's car. You had his phone too. So we're back at the same spot to get the keys now. You can't find the keys suddenly. Then a few minutes later, you come back out and say, oh, we found the keys. All I'm saying is, when you got parents already looking at you in a very suspicious manner, and then suddenly more suspicious stuff happens on top of it, it's kind of hard for them to look at you in an innocent light. I get it. I get why the parents are side-eyeing the kids. I get it. 110%. Okay, are they accurate? Are they 110% accurate? I can't answer that. I can't. All I know is that if I were them, and if I were the parent of Nolan Wells, and I was trying to get down to the bottom of where my son was, and all I give a damn about is where my son is, and suddenly you got their phone, and you got his phone, and you got his keys, and I have to go back twice to your crib to get that stuff, And both times it's a headache just to get those 2 items. That's going to be weird. I'm going to side-eye the hell out of you too. Okay? I would side-eye the hell out of you too. Okay? So, again, you know, that's just something very, very interesting. But let us continue on. Okay?
Search and rescue or law enforcement looking for their own child with such a lack of urgency on behalf of law enforcement. Obviously, we're talking to black journalists. We can't ignore the ugly racial history of Mississippi. I looked into the demographics of the Jackson County Sheriff Department. It's quite asymmetrical, but also just the general attitude and the lack of value when it comes to black life. Does this sound like a normal process for when an 18-year-old goes missing to you? What holes have you seen in your looking into this case?
Tiffany, that was the question that Christine and Elmore had when they first called us. They wanted the truth of what happened to their 18-year-old son, Nolan Wells, and they had concerns whether they were going to get a fair and impartial investigation. And from that day to this one, it has been the same objective: to have truth, transparency, and find out what happened to Nolan. They said, we want a thorough investigation, because when they found Nolan, they expressed to me that the sheriff had already said no foul play. And they was like, no, my son, he knows how to swim. Our son is a college athlete. Our son is in great shape. We don't believe that he just drowned and nobody knows nothing. Nobody saw nothing. I mean, there are about 300, 400 people on the island. And so that's what they were saying. We want to know what happened. We want truth. We want transparency. We don't want his death to be swept under the rug.
Well, just so to make sure the audience and the people watching at home know, so they did declare very quickly, as you're noting, that he drowned when his body was recovered on July 6th. Mom and Dad and you all know that he is a student athlete, able to swim. On July 4th on Horn Island, it was very crowded. Certainly the suggestion is someone would have seen a child in distress. There is going to be the convening of a grand jury. Now, the DA of this area, Angel Myers McElrath, is a very out loud, proud Republican. If there is a U.S. attorney appointed to this case, it will likely be a Trump appointee. I'm just curious, Vin, from you and Rev, I think we have to be very candid here. What concerns do you have about the racial animus that we are seeing so much of play in this case?
Well,
you or Rev, whoever.
All I'll say, and then defer to Rev, you want to believe that this is a child, that everybody is going to do their level best to find out what happened, so these broken-hearted parents will know what happened to their child. In time, we've seen Christine and the family be attacked just for asking questions. What happened to my child? Trying to say, no, we want to question this part of the investigation, that part of the investigation, because day one you said no foul play, but tell me now, what are you doing to be able to get us to the truth? And that is, it causes them sleepless nights. We talk at night. And so, trust but verify. We are trying to cooperate everything we can do to say, hey, we want to help, but we want you to give them a thorough investigation. We want you to do for him what you would do for your child.
Rev, I'm going to come to you in a sec, but you brought up something, Ben, about attacks. And certainly as journalists, we have a keen eye, and I have noticed that the narrative around this story has shifted to the threats that are going to the young men who was with Nolan. They've hired attorneys who previously represented Donald Trump in cases. They've gone on very MAGA-friendly podcasts. And I just want to make sure that we keep the main thing, the narrative to the victim, to the actual child who died. And I'm curious, Christine, if you can weigh in on what threats have you and your family experienced?
So there have been a big smear campaign, just not only professionally, but personally for me. And
they attacked your nursing license.
yes, so it started out with 1-star reviews of people saying they saw me. My office verified that these were incorrect. And then it went so much as to someone contacted the Board of Nursing, and then that opened the investigation for the professional misconduct. There was no evidence presented for that claim. And the investigator I spoke with, he said, we have to do our due diligence. I said, I understand it, I respect it. He was like, I'm sorry it's coming at this time. I was like, no, I get it, do what you have to do, because I know who I am. I know what kind of care I give to my patients. I know the relationship that we have. And I'm grateful that my patients, a lot of them, are still trusting and loving in the care that they know they're going to get with me. And so these attacks are not going to, it's not going to break me. I have to find out. We have to find out what happened to Nolan. That is the only question we've ever asked. We've never blamed anyone. We've never tried to smear anyone. I know I heard something about the picture. That picture was sent to me because
This is a picture of him on the boat.
On the boat with the people.
Yes.
And what it was is they were like, the person was like, Miss Christine, the information is incorrect. This is what he was wearing. Because initially he was in black shorts, which again, that is the information I received from Warren, verbally and via text. When she sent me that picture, I was like, oh, completely different color. These are like a blue-gray short. So we had to correct that. But I'm grateful, we are grateful to all of you. Thank you for keeping our son's story alive. And thank you so much, Tiffany, for having us.
I think that's part of our assignment here, our responsibility. So often in newsrooms, we have to defend and define Black life and defend and define our own humanity. And so it makes a difference. The same way in other newsrooms, when you see someone and you feel like they're familiar, that so happens as they resegregate newsrooms and lay off Black journalists en masse, that goes away. So the people in this room have a keen interest in this story because they see your humanity, and that's what we center in this conversation. Rev, put this in historical context for us, because as I look at Mississippi, I don't have to tell you of all people some of the immediate thoughts that surface for us here.
Well, when I got the call from Ben Crump and he had the parents connected, and they told me the story, I'd not heard the story. I heard something about some in Mississippi. But when I heard the details, the thing that jarred me from a civil rights point of view, and I've been working, Ben has come National Action Network for 20-some years with a case, and then from there on and on and on. And if it's not a civil rights position, we don't get involved. When they told me that law enforcement said there is no foul play, that's a prejudgment. And I said, wait a minute. They said, the parents repeated to me on the phone, I said, they said it was, this 2 days after it happened. And how do you investigate and there's no foul play and you don't even know what happened yet? So that's what perked my interest. So I said that, well, we'll be involved and we'll help to the best of our ability. Talked another day or two. I said, y'all come to New York, we'll have a national press conference. That's how we broke the story. The first national press conference they did at our headquarters, National Action Network. And then all of a sudden, it was all of this attack for getting involved. And so, and they asked me to do the eulogy. I said, we'll take care of the funeral. Tyler Perry called me and said, no, I'll take care of it. So the thing that bothered me, one, it was prejudgment. Second, the parents of the guys that were with him start talking about they was going to sue us for getting involved. And sue, I don't even know the kid's name. So you can't say I defame your son. I don't know your son's name. But I will say this on this stage. I want them to sue me first. And I'll tell you why. No, I'll tell you why. And National Action Network, you serve the papers. Because I want to depose your son. If you sue, the plaintiffs are deposed. So rather than us depend on a Mississippi DA who's already had people saying it was no foul, let's go to civil court, any kind of court you want to go to, because you can't make this make sense. And direct to your point, Tiffany, as I said in the eulogy that I did, I don't know what happened. The parents never said they knew what happened. They never said it was racial. I don't know it was racist, but they don't know it wasn't racist. You don't know what happened. So why are you prejudging it unless something is there you don't want out? Second thing is, you know, and I said this to Elmer and Kristen, I had hurt my knee. I had torn my meniscus. And when I tore it, I told Ben the truth. I did it working out one morning, but I told them I got it because I was on my knees praying too much. But anyway, when they took me to say they may have to do surgery, the first thing they said is, well, we got to get your medical history from your primary doctor. I said, okay. So I said in the eulogy that I don't know what happened, but I got your history in Mississippi. And the history tells me black boy go out with 3 white kids come back. There's a blurred story on what happened. Now y'all all hostile and all upset. Didn't have the keys, but then you had the keys. Some about this don't make sense given your history. And I'm gonna stay on this until we find out what happened. It may be nothing, but we're not gonna leave that up to chance with people that are distorted. We gonna stay on this case. And lastly, since they want to talk about lawsuits, one of the things tying your morning together, Tiffany, they may come back, as you suggested, playing right-wing politics with this, with the local prosecutor, maybe even with the federal people. But if we have a change in January and there is a Democratic House, I said that if Hakeem becomes the speaker, he needs to have the chair of judiciary subpoena them to the Judiciary Department, testify on the oath. That's what this vote means. We need to have a check and balance of government so that we got somewhere to go. We can't depend to go to Trump's Justice Department. So we need to really mobilize so people like these 2 parents can protect their children.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you laid out such a great example on how the tentacles of white supremacy cast such a dark shadow over almost every aspect of what your parents went through. I know that there's so many more questions that I have, and I'm sure the audience has. As all my broadcasters know, I have an IFB, and they've been telling me to rap for about 10 minutes. But we wanted. It was my pleasure to go over time, and not only my pleasure, my responsibility to give you all a platform to share your story. I think it's so important, and I think this is the responsibility that the black journalists in this room take very seriously and will carry with them back to their newsrooms where they may be the only, or back to their platforms where they are building reach or have a wide reach. So I thank you all for sharing your time and being so open. There will be a press conference. There was an autopsy, a second autopsy that Ben Crump initiated that I believe Colin Kaepernick helped to fund. There were questions around that, and so please, I encourage credentialed media to please go to the press conference, and the access for credentialed media will be on the NABJ app for more information. So I don't.
Okay, so so you guys turn your volumes down or whatever you need to do. Okay, so that was that one. There's another press conference that they did a little bit after this particular conference or this particular discussion that they had that I'm going to share with you guys too. And here's the thing. I've already talked about the race part ad nauseum with everybody. And I honestly think that it's a very important piece of information, to remember that there is a history of racism. There's a history of the state of Mississippi not really doing their due diligence when it comes to black and brown cases. There is a history of that. Let's not forget that. But then there's the other thing too. All right. And I've said this too. We don't know. Just like what Al Sharpton said, I was going to pause it, but I was like, it's near the end. So F it, I'm just going to let him talk his talk. But there is no proof of racism being involved in the death of Nolan Wells. Let me just say that one more time. There is no proof of racism being one of the reasons why Nolan Wells lost his life. There's no proof of that. But at the same time, it's still on the table. Remember, if he lost his life in a nefarious way, if he lost his life by some evil entity, right? Some outside force that just took his life, we don't know the reason why they took his life. It could be because of the color of his skin. It could be because of ego. It could be because of alcohol. Maybe other substances that were in their system. God only knows. Jealousy, any of those things, all those things could have been a part of this situation. It could literally be because of the color of his skin too. But that's the thing. It's still on the table. If they do a thorough investigation into this case, into what happened to Nolan, then hopefully we get more understandings of what actually happened. And if it happens to be race, like a racially motivated attack, shoot, basically a hate crime, then damn right, that should be unearthed. But like I said, there's no proof of it yet. So that stays on the table, just like him possibly just straight up drowning should still be on the table for everyone, guys. You can't just automatically go, yeah, they murdered him. Yeah, they took his life. How do we know? We don't know anything yet. We need the evidence. We need the proof first. So there's still the possibility that he could have drowned. This could have just been a straight up accident. The wild part is that no one saw him drown. I just find that weird. That part is weird. That's the reason why I feel like there's such a dissonance, such a push and pull, such a tug of war going on in these internet streets, because people just can't, even myself, I can't fathom the idea of this kid being around that many people and him drowning without anybody seeing him actually drown. It's just strange to me. But unfortunately, it's still on the table because that hasn't been ruled out yet. So I don't blame Benjamin Crump, Al Sharpton, etc., jumping in here and saying, hey, we want truth, we want transparency, and if there needs to be accountability, then accountability is made. Justice is given for Nolan Wells. I don't blame him. I don't. Because we don't know everything, just like they don't know everything yet. So like I said, it could be racially motivated, but we don't know. He could have died by accident. It could have been a straight up accidental drowning. Or maybe not. Everything's still on the table, which is driving everybody insane. I know it's driving me insane. I know it's driving y'all insane. Okay? And some of y'all want to die on a hill with that one theory that you have. Go ahead, enjoy that. Hopefully you're right, I guess. But at the same time, we do not know everything. So we have to keep waiting for more facts. And we need to start asking all questions on all people that were involved. Hell yeah, side to eye the hell out of them boys. Them boys could have had something to do with it, or they may not have had anything to do with it. God only knows. But we still apply pressure on that. But then we need to start opening our eyes and looking at the full picture. There were other people involved in hanging out with him and seeing him out there on Horn Island and in the water. Who are those people? Let's start asking the questions, and let's get some more mother-loving facts. But here is the other press conference that they did. Hopefully the volume is a lot better on this. Let me just turn this down so it doesn't blast everyone's eardrums that have their earpieces in. okay, or their earbuds in, okay. Let's see where we're at. Okay. Let us rock and roll. And also, please do me a favor. Please do me a solid, y'all. Please do me solid. Hit that like button down below. Please crush it. I see a bunch of y'all in here. I appreciate y'all for being here and being a part of the conversation. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to discuss. All right. There's a lot more that we will be discussing. But please hit that like button down below. Can we get it to like 800 likes? That would really mean the world to me. Okay. Take a moment from arguing in the family chat for a hot minute. Okay. And everybody woosah. Let me just say that too. Mother loving woosah. Okay. It's going to be okay. All right. Please make sure to hit that like button down below. If we can get it 800 likes, that would be really appreciated. All right. Let's get into this other press conference that they had at the NABJ. Let's go. Oh, I think the sound's going to be just nice on this one.
Right.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Good morning. Let me say the case that we have been dealing with now for the last several weeks around Nolan Wells is indicative of many cases around the country that have raised serious questions with racial overtones. Attorney Crump and I are going tomorrow, where I'm doing the eulogy for a young black man in Madison, Wisconsin, homeless, and they say had a knife, and there's the tape of him being shot, 3 cops surrounding him, shot and killed, 4 shots. And these cases building up in a climate of an administration in Washington that we cannot feel will objectively investigate. There was a time that we could say if state authorities fail us, we can go to the Justice Department. Even under George Bush, we went to the Justice Department. We, at this point, have to hope that one, we could deal with civil courts, or secondly, that there's a balance of power with the Democrats taking the House in November, and maybe the Judiciary Committee under that can at least put a check and balance on cases that need to be investigated. But we are right now where we have 2 parents, lovely parents, I've gotten to know them, that really don't have an answer to the question, is it a civil rights violation or not? And we do not know. How do you trust the words of people that say immediately there was no foul play when you haven't even investigated whether there was foul play? How do you trust people that come back from something that happened and never really give you a straight story of what happened, including you have the keys to the car? So when you have more questions than answers, you have to have people that will drive the answers out, and that's what we do. And that's why I've been involved, and that's why we stay involved. And it gets worse and worse and worse. The parent of one of the boys threatening to sue us for asking a question. Imagine that now. Some of y'all call us, what do you feel about the parents? One of the boys says he's going to sue you and Ben Crump. Sue us for what? For saying what happened? So we've gone back that far. And that is why we're going to stand with these parents, because usually, you know, I come from Brooklyn, New York. I was born and raised there. I don't come from the South. But my mother used to bring me down south to my grandmother in Dothan, Alabama. And Congresswoman, my grandmother told me, you see that pen over there? I said, yes. She said, that's a pen of hogs and pigs. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, always know something. If you take a brick and you throw it in that pile, the hog that hollers is the hog you hit. There's too much hollering going on in Mississippi that we haven't hit something. I can't figure out which one we hit, but we hit something. because now they talking about lawsuits. They threatening a mother of a child, trying to get her job taken. You wouldn't be hollering if we wasn't hitting something. And we're going to stay on that, and we're going to stay on it all the way. In light of that, before attorney, and I call him the Attorney General of Black America, gives us the legal basis, and then we hear from the parents. Congresswoman who lived herself through dealing with the whole tragedy of her own son. That's how we met. On a plane. She was a flight attendant at the time. And she stopped me on the plane and said, "Reverend man, why ain't you dealing with my son's case?" And we started a relationship. She ended up being elected right here in Georgia and reelected. They redrew her lines, and she was reelected anyhow. The lines couldn't reduce the favor of the people. Congresswoman Lucy McBath.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I want to say thank you to Reverend Al Sharpton, and also thank you to Attorney Crump for being the armor bearers for this family, the Nolan's family. It's a really, really sad occasion that we're here again. I was just saying to my staff on the way in, it's like this brings back so many vivid memories for me and my own family, having lost Jordan to unnecessary gun violence in November 2012, Black Friday, simply because he was black and playing loud music in his car. And so here we are again today, here for the loss of another black young man in our community. And we find ourselves asking the same questions. How did it happen? Why did it happen? And this family stands here demanding answers. This family deserves answers. I myself sought the same justice for my son Jordan that they're seeking for theirs, and they deserve answers. And they deserve justice. Justice that should not be denied this family, or should ever be denied to any of our children or our lost loved ones. As a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, I'm the second vice chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. We are demanding a full federal investigation. Cash Patel, we're demanding a full federal investigation as to what has actually happened to Nolan Wells. We want to make sure that every stone is unturned, because his life matters. All of our children's and our families' lives matter. And we must fight back. We must stand up, and we must demand accountability for this family's loss. We cannot turn a blind eye to what continues to happen again and again and again. That's the reason why I ran for Congress, to make sure that we continue to put a face on what's happening to our families and our communities every single day. We must say Nolan's name. Amen. Say his name. Lift his name. And as the national black journalist of this country, you have the ability to be able to lift this story and not let it die. We see over and over again these kinds of tragedies in our communities that continue to happen. And they make it to CNN. They make it to MSN Now. They make it to our local news for maybe 30 days, if that. And then the stories are gone. And the carnage is left with the families and the communities that have lost someone that they love. So I thank the National Black Journalists. Thank you for lifting this family story. Do not let it die. Continue to say his name. Continue to tell his story. because they deserve justice, and it matters. It mattered for me. It mattered for Trayvon. It mattered for Eric Brown. It matters for all of our loved ones that we have lost.
As Attorney Crump comes, let me say, as Congressman McBath has said, the caucus has asked federal government to look into it. For those of us that are worried about the politicalization of the present administration, that is why January becomes important, that we have a judiciary committee that can also monitor when investigation happens now or does not happen. So it won't end there. They may come out with any announcement they want in the next month or so. We having the big march August 28th in Washington dealing with, we must deal with voting rights so we have the right people in so we can check and balance. I want to say to people in Mississippi, whatever investigation you come with, once we have a fair and balanced government, your investigation will be investigated. It will not end with what they say in Mississippi. Attorney General of Black America, Benjamin Crump.
Thank you so much, Mentor. Reverend Allen, thank you for helping not only lead the effort to get to the truth, but keeping this family in your prayers as you have done so many more families, giving them support. I'm Attorney Ben Crump, along with Attorney Eric Hertz, Attorney Lisa Park, Attorney Ahmad Smith. We have the honor of representing the family of Nolan Wells. Obviously, you all have come to know his parents, Christine and Elmore Wansley. And this is hard. I heard Congresswoman McBath, who lost her son Jordan almost 12 years ago, and it's still raw and emotional when you hear her talk about the loss of a child. I mean, he's not coming back, and that is the story. Everything else is just, hyperbole, is distractions. The story is what happened to Nolan Wells. Somebody knows something. Somebody saw something. I'm thankful to Reverend Al Sharpton and Mr. Tyler Perry and Terrell Owens and Byron Allen putting up these rewards. I understand others have now put up rewards, and that's good because that means we all have the same objective. We want the truth about what happened to Nolan Wells, and it is urgent. It is urgent because each day that goes by, you worry, will we ever get to the truth? And so that's why we want to thank CBC for calling on the federal authorities and anybody else who has resources to help this family get to the truth of what happened to their son. I know I was talking to Kristen Clark, and she said, no, let's make sure that all taxpayers' money that goes to support federal resources apply to our children too. I mean, let's say that nobody should say, oh, it doesn't matter that much because it's a black child. No, it matters. All of our children matter. And so we are going to continue every day to say his name, Attorney Hertz, Attorney Park, Attorney Smith, trying to work with the local district attorney to give them what they need to do a thorough, fair, full, impartial investigation. That's what we're asking for. Everything else is just a distraction because Nolan birthday is next Wednesday, August 19th. It is going to be extremely difficult for his mother, his father, and his family because this August 19th will be like no other that they've ever had for the last 19 years. I mean, it's a milestone when your child gets to be 18 years old. You try to breathe a little easier, Reverend. Now you say, man, we almost got them there. They're at the cusp of being an adult, cusp of manhood. And you heard how Elmore was working so hard, him and Nolan, his football career. I mean, he had a good start, but this was really going to be his year. I mean, so much hope, so much promise. And then July 4th came, and 4th of July will never be the same to Christine and Elmore. And on the 19th, next Wednesday, his family, we're all asking for prayer for Nolan. I know there's going to be a prayer visual in Ocean Springs. I know Reverend Al is going to work to make sure we're all praying all across the nation. But y'all, let's pray. Can we pray together in unity to say, let's get to the truth of what happened to Nolan Wells? Can we do that, America? Can we at least come together in unity on his birthday? Everybody who claimed to ever be a friend of his, can we come together in unity and pray for the truth and try to have love in our hearts for this family, for this broken-hearted mother and father, his sisters and brothers? Can we try to give them grace and give them love and pray for their humanity, for their son who was lost on 4th of July and is never coming back? Is that so much to ask? Let's have a National Day of Prayer on August 19th, next Wednesday, for Nolan Wells. And at this time, we'll hear from his mother and father, then Eric, and us will try to answer your questions.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for having us, for platforming our son's story. As many of you know, his 19th birthday is next Wednesday. And it's, as the days gets closer, and it's definitely getting harder, that realization is really sinking in. That we don't have our son physically here anymore. And I think a lot of people have forgotten. Only thing we want to know is what happened. That's all we want to know, is what happened to our son. Because many parents out there, you still have your children. You still can hug them. You still can call them. You still can celebrate their life with them. And we do not have that anymore. Our lives have forever changed. This new normal is something I would never wish on anyone, not even my worst enemy. The hurt that we feel daily, the conversations that we have to have, not just with each other, but also with our other children as they are grieving as well. So we ask that everyone, please, next Wednesday, join us in prayer. As for us as a family, but also too for everyone out there, but especially for Nolan and the process that we're going through. And again, we thank you so much.
First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who's constantly keeping our son's story in the forefront. You don't know how much we really appreciate that. Nolan brought light to our family. He was the fun in it. And with his birthday coming up, like my wife said, we have to deal with a new normal. Who knows what these years are going to bring, but we know that these years on August 19th is going to bring a lot of hurt, some laughter as we think about memories, but as far as our family, a very big piece will no longer be there. We just want the truth. We just want to know what any other parent would want to know. We're asking the questions any parent would ask. And if you feel that something's wrong with that, then that's a problem that you have to deal with. But as far as us and our family, we're just asking for truth, transparency, and to please keep us in your prayers. Next week is going to be a hard week, and the years follow are going to be hard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Christian and Elmore, it never gets easy, Reverend Al. And they're asking, I know Reverend Jamal Bryant is coming to Ocean Springs. Anybody who can come to Ocean Springs to be at the prayer visual with them on a Wednesday evening at 7 p.m., please come. And if you can't come,
Okay.
please have prayer visuals in your city and your communities. We need to find out what happened. Attorney Hurts, Attorney Parks, and Reverend Allen, as we're trying to answer your questions. The family, obviously, the motion that they'll try to answer questions if they can. Any questions?
Yeah, what's up?
Hello, my name is Logan John, NABJ.
Yeah, give us where you're
Dang.
calling, where you.
NABJ News.
Okay.
What do you believe accountability and justice for Nolan Walls should look like?
It's very simple. As we always say, if it was your child, what will accountability and justice look like? Well, that's the same thing they want for their child. Whatever it would be for your child, that's the same thing they want. Whatever investigation you would do for your child, that's the same investigation they want. We're not asking for anything special. We just want equal justice for our children too.
And I think that we must be very much emphasizing is they have said, again here with the press conferences and statements they've made throughout, when they started at our headquarters in Harlem speaking to the press, they're not trying to come to a conclusion. The other side did, saying that there was no foul play. They're trying to tell us what happened. And we're going to stand with them on that, and as well as other cases around the country.
Hold on real quick, okay, before we continue on. All right. I have to say this. Al Sharpton has a point. I know that's going to piss off some people in the chat, but Al Sharpton has a point there. Right off the bat, you got the sheriff saying, hey, no foul play. We found him. He's washed up ashore, and instantly they say no foul play. But then all the elements, all the information that the family received about the kids saying, oh no, he was running off with Katie, and then Katie saying, no, he was going back to the boat with the friends, then the keys and the phone, and then the possibility of the phone being tampered with. All those things are massive problems. All those things on top of you got sheriff, I forgot his last name, the sheriff over there in Jackson County saying, oh, no foul play. That is weird. That is wild. All right? That would make any parent go, what? How can you sit there, no foul play, when we got all this information, we got conflicting information being told, we got possibilities of phones being tampered with, etc. We got another case, okay, Daniel Irving, may he rest in peace, same situation, not the same situation, but a situation where these kids went to a river to, I guess, go fishing, if I remember correctly, with Daniel Irving, 2 white kids with this black kid, Daniel Irving. Then suddenly Daniel Irving drowns. What did the kids do? They grabbed his belongings, they took his cell phone, they took his car, and they tried to hide the information. They deleted things off his phone, etc., to try to hide the fact that this kid drowned. Now, of course, the family's sitting there going, well, wait a second. You covering all that ish? You doing all that work, young man, because it was an accidental drowning, and here you are deleting stuff on a phone, throwing his clothes in bushes, and driving his car somewhere else. Why are you doing all that cover up if it was an accidental drowning? You see what I'm saying? So again, you got a situation here, and I know it's not the same case. I know it's not the case, but at the same time, you got a kid. He washes up ashore. You got 5-0 automatically sitting there saying, yeah, you know, there's no foul play. But you got other pieces of information that doesn't make any sense, that automatically go, wait a second, that makes any parent go, wait, that's inconsistent. Katie's saying one thing, his friends are saying another thing. We're hearing all this information. His cell phone is in somebody else's hands, which is not very like him. I know my son. That's not very like him. Do you blame the parents for asking those kind of questions? You shouldn't, because I guarantee you, whether this kid was white or black, Puerto Rican, Asian, polka dotted, purple, or green, every parent would be asking the same doggone questions. Things do not make sense in this situation. But then on top of it, he is a black kid, and there is a history of racism within the deep-seated roots of Mississippi. So, of course, you're going to have them sitting there going, wait a second, something ain't right here. Something's not making any sense, and we need to get down to the bottom of it. That's basically it. Any parent, doesn't matter what race you are, they're going to be asking the same doggone question. But I got a couple super chats that I have got to get into really, really quick before we go into the rest of this press conference. And I appreciate you guys being here. It really means the world, okay? But I Can Prep 2 just said this, okay? If you haven't come to understand how someone can drown in a crowd and not be noticed, then you aren't even trying to comprehend this whole thing honestly, Pascal. Well, let me just say this. First off, thank you so much for the super chat. And I know that there's going to be a lot of people that are thinking the same thing. But here's the thing. I can still sit here and go, wow, I can't believe that actually happened, right? I can sit here and go, okay, it's possible that it happened, but it still feels a little bit beyond to me. That's just my personal opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. Just like I can't fathom a man running into a house and murdering four college kids in one night, in less than 20 minutes. I can't even fathom that. With a knife, I can't even fathom that. But it happened. Brian Koberger, Idaho 4, in case you don't know who I'm referencing. I'm just saying, it's pretty insane, right? To think that somebody could go and, oh my Lord, I can't believe that people would go and chop up heads and put them in the refrigerators and hold them in their homes and have a vat that is filled with body parts and actually experiment with eating them and stuff like that. Can't fathom that idea, but it has happened. So I could sit here and say, I can't fathom the idea that this would happen, but I know it has happened in the past. Plenty of people have drowned in front of hundreds of people. It has happened. But at the same time, I go, wait a second. It just seems so beyond. It seems so odd that he would walk away, like say he just swam out into an area near everybody else and just goes, whoop, gets swallowed up by the ocean. Still a shocking idea. It's still possible. But I still can't believe that even happened, right? That's it, guys. That's all. There's nothing wrong with somebody going, I know that it's possible, but I can't fathom the idea. That's just wild for something like that to happen. There's nothing wrong with us asking questions like we should with every case, right? But next question, next super chat, and I appreciate the super chat. I really, really do. Let me expand this screen so I can see the full thing without words getting cut off. So Diddly Squat, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So you said this a little bit earlier. I'm all for finding answers without fanning the flames. They keep insinuating this was racial. There's other ways to say his name in caps without making the public think there was foul play. As if foul play in the form of racism is the only conclusion. Okay, so we've already said this before, but let me just repeat this again, okay? Racism is going to be on the table until we hear otherwise. Okay. I know that might not be something that people want to hear. That might not be something that makes you happy or something of that sort. But I do want to make this abundantly clear. Uh, Racism is going to be an added factor until there's full cooperation between the family and local PD. And the reason why I say it like that is because of this. There's a history of the state of Mississippi and how they treat black and brown cases. There's a deep, deep history. And I hate to say that, okay? I feel like if this whole situation, this terrible situation happened in the state of California, maybe this conversation would not be, maybe the racism part would not be a factor as far as the investigation, okay? Now, we already talked about the possibility of racism still being on the table when it comes to the death of Nolan Wells. But what they're really talking about is the fact that when it comes to local PD, when it comes to to state officials within Mississippi, they have a history of really just turning a blind eye and saying something along the lines of, oh, there's no foul play here. He washed up ashore. Moving on. That's the problem. That's straight up the problem. That's the only reason why, at least in this moment right here, that they're talking about race being a factor, because there's a history of the lack of care and the lack of investigation into black and brown cases in the state of Mississippi. That's why they're talking about it. They're going, listen, we are only asking for you guys to give the same care and give the same amount of dams as you would if Nolan Wells was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed young man. That's it. So that's the only reason right now that they're bringing up race. They've already said, we don't know whether race is a factor in the death of Nolan Wells. But when it comes to this investigation, the fact that they're dragging their feet on this is a problem, and they need to start giving a damn about Nolan Wells as if his name was, I don't know, Chad. Are there any black Chads? I don't know. But again, that's why the race is a conversation now. Okay? Let's see. Where is it? And yes, you aren't wrong. There's other ways to say his name without without making the public, without bringing let me see that again. Without making the public think that there was foul play. True. They could literally say, hey, we don't know everything yet. We're still trying to find out the truth of what happened to our son, so on and so forth. But at the same time, you also got to remember, they're giving us the information. They're sitting there going, things are suspicious of what happened to Nolan. And then it's the internet that's taking it and running with it, mother lover. Yeah, there is a Chad Ochocinco. Yes, there is a Chadwick Boseman. Oh. You get what I'm saying, though. Okay? All I'm trying to say, okay? All I'm trying to say is that, of course, they presented things to the public, and the public, internet sleuths, the internet screets, these justice warriors, these whatever you want to call them, these polarizing individuals that hide behind QWERTY keyboards, they took it and they ran with it. They ran with the information. They ran with the audio. They ran with the Bart situation. They ran with the Wyatt thing. You see what I'm saying? Plenty of things have happened solely because of what the internet has been putting together, have been formulating. It's not like, listen, speaking of the audio, just really quick. The audio, for example, okay? You notice that even Benjamin Crump hasn't reposted or shared that audio. Just trying to show you an example. Because he could easily share that audio and go, they killed that young man. Here's smoking gun evidence. He hasn't done that yet. He says, hey, we're bringing in experts to look into it. That's all we can say about it right now. That's a very good thing that he did that, because if he went and reposted it and said, yo, new audio, proving that these kids are liars, holy cow, the internet would be on fire, in fuego. But the information that we've only known so far are the things that the parents have given us, which is contradicting information coming from two different parties, Katie and Nolan's friends. The fact that they had to get his phone, his keys, the fact that his phone had a lot of his data was deleted, etc. You see what I'm saying? I'm just saying those things are things that they brought out to the internet, to the people, and have been saying that over and over and over again. They have not put out any more stuff. They have not said, my son is black and those kids were white. They didn't say any of that at all. All they said is they want the same due process as every other kid, as if it was your own kid, and not to be out here instantly saying, oh, yeah, there's no foul play. See, that's what it is, you see, because he washed up ashore and he seemed fine. So he just drowned. That's what it is. No foul play, ma'am. Nah, not with all these other moving factors. Just saying, okay? Let me get this super chat really quick, and we're going to finish out this press conference. I can prep too. Thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. Google here on live. How can someone drown in a crowd and not be noticed? I'll wait, and we can put up that question to rest, or we could put that question to rest. Well, one, I just talked to you about this, and I said I agree that it is possible that someone can drown in a crowd and not be noticed. We just talked about that. So, no, I'm not going to Google that. No disrespect. We got to get into the rest of this video, but I said that. All I'm saying is I could sit here and say, can't believe someone could actually drown in public, but it's hard to fathom that. That's it. We've already talked about this, I can prep. Respectfully, we've already talked about this in other shows. I'm like, yeah, you're right. You can drown in a group, in a crowd of people. But it's wild to me that would actually happen. That's it. So let's get over to this press conference, shall we?
Yes, sir.
I'm Ezekiel Telemacher with ABC 24. There's been a lot of misinformation and rumors spreading on social media. Is there anything that you guys would like to debunk that you've seen that has stood out to you?
Let me just say this. I went real.
Well, I mean, I think that social media has distorted a lot. I think for myself and Ben, we're public figures that you're going to have social media lie on us every day. I don't even know if I'm really here according to social media. But what hurts us is the distortions they've done on the family, where they've harassed her in her job and sent stuff to their house. Distorted with the father's question. They didn't ask to be public figures. They only are trying to get justice for their son. So I would just say, whatever social media people are trying to get likes and hits and all, do that against people like me that offered ourselves public. They didn't ask for this.
Yo, didn't I just say, I haven't seen this press conference, but did I not just say this just a second ago? The internet is taking a lot of things and running with it, period. The internet is taking a lot of the information that they're saying, okay, and running with it, okay? Right there. Yeah, I know that Officer Tatum put up part 3 of the interview. I know. We haven't even gotten to part 2, so we're going to look at that here in a very brief moment.
All they want is what happened to their son.
And I'll simply say this, because that question has come up, and I released a statement, and I want to be clear about it. We defend the First Amendment rights of content creators reporting on Nolan Wells' case. We stand with content creators, independent journalists, and citizens who are responsibly reporting on the Nolan Wells case and asking legitimate questions in pursuit of truth and accountability. The First Amendment protects robust public discussion on matters of public concern, and those protections are not reserved just for traditional media. We are deeply concerned when cease and desist letters, threatened lawsuits, or other legal pressure become tools to intimidate or silence lawful scrutiny. There is an important difference between knowingly spreading false information and asking questions. Examining, I want to make sure I get it exactly as we said.
Did you lose it?
Okay. There's an important difference between knowingly spreading false information and asking questions, examining evidence, identifying inconsistencies, expressing opinions, and demanding transparency. Reporting should not be silenced, and legitimate questions should not be met with intimidation. Those seeking truth and accountability in the Nolan Wells case have every right to continue asking questions and demanding answers, because we are America and we have a right to the First Amendment. That includes black people and all people.
Hi, Denise Clay Murray, Philadelphia Hall Monitor. My question is for Congressmember McBath. Has the formal request for the FBI from the Congressional Black Caucus been delivered to the FBI, and what deadline have you given them for a response?
We've actually we've actually written a letter, a formal letter, and it's already been executed. We've already sent it forth. We are giving them time to respond. We did not give them a specific deadline, but we did say that we are expecting to have an answer as soon as we possibly can.
Attorney Crump, Ryan Young from CNN. Thank you to the family again for standing here and talking to us. There's been a lot about the meeting that you were supposed to have with the DA's office and the cooperation that they were supposed to be giving. Can you update us and tell us whether or not the family has had any contact with the DA's office? Are they talking with you? Have investigators put their arms around you at all?
Attorney Eric Hertz and Attorney Parker.
I'm Eric Hertz with law firm Eric J. Hertz PC, and I am heading the independent investigation in this case. I think the first thing, before I get to the exact question, is what's worse than losing a child? Probably nothing. But what makes it horrible is not knowing, and transparency is the key. So with us going into this case as doing an independent investigation, we first thank all the people on stage, all the people that have helped, and we thank you, the media. We have had much communication with the district attorney, and I feel that is confidential. We have cooperated, I can tell you that, and we would just want to cooperate like anyone else would have to cooperate, and we are continuing to do that. The duty to our clients.
So just to address that specifically, you may
Damn.
already realize and already know, there was a meeting on July 15th in Mississippi with the DA's office. At that meeting, there were several things discussed about the investigation regarding Nolan Wells and what happened to him. In that meeting, there were several things that were set out and agreed to, and we expect the DA, as well as our own team, to follow those agreements.
Yes, sir.
Damn. Damn.
Greg Dunmore from Post Media out of Detroit, the ABC sister station TV 20. Evil prevails when good men and women remain silent when the facts come out, and they will come out. If it indicates that something sinister did not happen and it was a freak accident, will you believe that the truth is still not being revealed? Because if the truth is not going to indicate on some level that something sinister was done, will you not believe it to be something else if the truth is that it was
if the
not.
truth comes out.
Yes.
And it's clear,
Sounds like gunshots.
then we will accept the truth. That's all
Damn.
we're asking for. And we only have said that the people that are attacking them for raising the question of the truth say the same thing. I think that we've leaned over backwards in every press event, at the funeral, me doing the eulogy, saying we weren't going to prejudge. Yet they keep getting lambasted. Imagine this. You're losing your child and you're being attacked for asking what happened. I mean, they're not political figures. Why are they under attack for asking for the truth? So it's not about us accepting, it's about whether or not those involved can accept. Yeah.
Yes, Nolan with the Black Wall Street Times.
Wait a minute, they always try to shut us all out. We're not be silenced. Yeah, it's on.
Yes, Nehemiah Franklin.
Don't move the mic. Okay.
Please don't move the mic.
Yes, Nehemiah Frank with the Black Wall Street Times out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Condolences to you both. My question is for Mr. Wansley. When you went to Jack's house and he used the past tense and literally said to you, from what you've told us, the media, that the brother, or that he said that Nolan was like a brother a day before the body actually washed up, was that like alarm? Did it send any alarm bells through you at all?
Yes, you said what you said.
Put yourself in a father's shoes and you just found out that your child is missing. The only thing you want to know is where he is. Trying to go back and think about specific words at that moment, I wasn't thinking about that. My mind and my focus was finding my whereabouts of my son.
Hey, Tom Jones, reporter with WSB TV here in Atlanta. I keep hearing about this young lady that Nolan left with. Has anybody
Thank you.
talked to her?
What's up
I
with
think
Katie?
that what we're trying to carefully do is not impugn the investigation. So a lot of what may and may not have happened
What the
in terms
agreement
of
was.
dialogue with the lawyers and the family would not be prudent to testify on WSB Atlanta.
Hi, my name is Jahara Wilson with Blavity. You're calling on the Department of Justice to open an independent federal review of Nolan's death. What do you believe federal investigators could uncover that local and state authorities...
Let me clarify also, Congresswoman, want to give some clarity.
Also, I do want to clarify that we've given them 7 days to respond. It was 7 days. So I'm sorry about that.
Your question was, what do we hope to get from them, the federal investigation? What anybody will hope. We are taxpayers too. It's the federal resources that can offer resources to help investigate the matter thoroughly. And so Nolan was not only Christine and Elmo's child, but when you think about it in a philosophical way, he was all of our children. But by the grace of God, it could be our child next. And as American citizens, we have the absolute right to say our federal government should extend resources for our children like they will extend to everybody else. I will never forget when President Obama, with Reverend Al and I, when Trayvon Martin was unalive, and he said that it's important that we extend all of the resources of the federal government to help this family get to answers of the truth. And that's all you would want if it was your child. That's all they want if their child. Every resource available, help us get to the truth.
And let me say that and answer that. It's important that you understand that when we raise these issues, that's all what we wanted. We raised the issue, I was out front, Ben was the attorney with Trayvon Martin, and we finally got George Zimmerman in court. When the jury said not guilty, we said we disagreed, but we didn't go and attack his parents. We didn't go and chase him down. We accepted that. When we had the killing in Missouri with Michael Brown, and President Obama was president, we asked for the federal government to come in there. Eric Holder and them investigated the case and said there was no federal case that they could bring. We accepted that. So don't act like we don't accept it. We accept it when Michael Brown's case didn't go federal. We accept things when they're fair, but we want them to be fair. That's why I said, as the congressman said, they're giving them 7 days. The FBI come back either way, but we want it reviewed by the Congress at some point. I'm on my way tomorrow to Madison, Wisconsin, to deal with Ruiz shot on camera. While I'm there, there's a company trying to get a contract that is in business with ICE. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. We look at it from a civil rights point of view. They're dealing with it from their son. This is fresh in blood.
Yes, ma'am.
Susanna Capilouto with NPR. Has the DA said anything to your attorneys regarding the joint investigation of the cell phone?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that, please?
Oh, sorry. Has the DA said anything, given any guidance on the joint investigation of the cell phone?
We are in constant communication, and just like anything, I'd like to address the gentleman sitting next to you. What was your name again?
Greg.
Oh,
Greg.
Yeah. You get 2 shots. Yeah.
this is Greg Dunmore.
Okay. Just to address Greg's question, you know, the truth has to be proven and shown with the methodology, the way they came about. Someone just can't come out and say, hey, you know, I have a Ferrari, and then you believe they have a Ferrari. I don't have a Ferrari. The truth has to be shown. You got to bring them to your garage, show them the title. That's the truth. And yes, we will accept the truth. So the same way with what the young lady sitting next to you is saying, which is we have procedures that the courts require that we as lawyers ethically have to follow in order to turn over evidence. There's chains of custody. There's protected private information. And we are willing, in fact today, I'm not doing anything the rest of the day, to meet with the FBI and our person, our expert, to go over that phone. And we've made that clear. So we're ready to do that at any moment.
Lisa just want to say one last point on that.
Yeah, don't touch it, man.
So just to clarify, what the agreement was that the DA's office, and this is the Jackson County DA's office, as well as our forensic team, and possibly the FBI, were going to together download and examine the phone. So it's done one time with everybody together, right? This is very common in the law. I mean, what you all may be more used to is when there's a terrible car accident, and then there's an examination of that car, and everybody comes together one time. They don't move that car around, and everybody does their own thing. This is what is supposed to happen. We are waiting for the DA to determine the time, the place, the date. Let us know, and we are going to be there with our forensics team and anybody else, but it's done one time, one examination. We're ready for it to happen.
Julie Walker, Associated Press. Can you give us a sort of a timeline or what's next going forward, including any possible lawsuits that would be filed, not against you as you had mentioned before, but that you would be filing, and then the completion of the independent autopsy and how that's moving along, and anything else that would be moving forward? And I know you had mentioned you wanted that national day. Other than that, anything in the future?
Well, we want to make sure people understand we're going to follow the truth wherever it leads us. There's been a lot made about we want to come and bring some lawsuit. When Christine and Elmore called me, we weren't thinking about bringing a lawsuit. We were thinking about just helping them get to the truth. That is a vehicle that we can use to get to the truth if the facts tell us that. We send out preservation letters, and everybody said, oh, they're going to sue them. No. We send out preservation letters to preserve the evidence. And in those standard letters, you say litigation is reasonably anticipated to say, don't get rid of the evidence. We're on record that we want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And that's what's going to lead us in what we do. It's about the evidence, nothing else. And this family has always said from day one, even when I called Reverend Allen, we talked to him, they have been consistent. We want to know what happened to our child. Everything else is just, it's just clickbait and everything. It's about what happened to our child. Black press, NABJ, we need you now more than ever to keep everybody focused. What happened to this 18-year-old black teenager in Mississippi? Because there have been questions when you look at the history of the Deep South where young black people are unalive and nobody ever gets any answers. Well, we want Nolan Wells not to be like many others that came before him.
And that is why, as I said earlier, August 28th, the anniversary of Dr. King's March, Martin III and I we were doing a huge march in Washington, Lincoln Memorial. This will be highlighted in other cases because these things keep happening, and to protect the right to vote. So we intend to stay out on the battlefield as long as necessary. Yes.
And I'd asked about the independent autopsy.
We understand that Dr. Roger Mitchell made himself available at any point that the district attorney's office and the medical examiner will allow him to come. He's ready, willing, and able to go do it.
Brooklyn Banks with NABJ News. You mentioned just now that multiple cases have happened like this that are similar. What do you think about this case in particular being called race politics?
About this case in particular, what?
Being considered race politics.
I think that the race politics of this case has been the reaction. I think that we're not predetermining that the case was racial. We're determining that the answer, the investigation, has been racially divided, and that's what made it racist. Yeah, I'll take two more. This is a press conference, not a revival. We're not going to be here all afternoon.
Yes, sir. Donald Soto, the Atlanta Voice. In particular, piggyback on what Attorney Trump said, is it the fact that this happened in Mississippi why it seems to be so difficult to get answers in regards to this young black man's death?
Did you say Trump or rather than Crump? I'm just trying to. Yeah, we're praying for you at the prayer meeting.
I want to keep an open mind. I know there have been several attacks on us just for asking questions, and it's okay. When you think about Mississippi, they attacked all my heroes. The governor's predecessors, they attacked, Ida B. Wells, Medgar Evers, my personal hero, Thurgood Marshall, Dr. Martin Luther King, for saying that we're going to stand up for black life and black humanity and the right to black people to have the Constitution applied to them as American citizens. So I'm unapologetic in my defense of black life, black liberty, and black humanity. God has a calling on all our lives, and when you figure out what that calling is, you don't second guess it. You say, God, I know why I put on this earth, to be there to stand up for our people in times when they have nobody else to stand up for them. And so whether it's Mississippi or anywhere else in the Deep South, or as Malcolm X said, I heard they discriminate against black people in the South. He said, I guess my definition of the South would be anything beneath the Canadian border, because last time I checked, they discriminate against black people all across America. And so what we're saying is we are open-minded. We want to trust them, but we can't be naive. We have to verify everything, as Attorney Hurt said. whatever conclusions you come to, we want the methodology. Whatever investigation you're doing, we want to know that it's the same investigation that you would do with your child, not treat Nolan any differently. That's what we're trying to do. That's all we're asking.
All right, we're going to take one more, and then we have to take the family out. Jesse Jackson Jr., who has his own radio show.
I represent KBLA today. Let me ask a question, Reverend Sharpton, Reverend Crump, and even the Congresswoman. Nolan Wells's body was found on federal territory, Horn Island, run by the National Park Service. Are you aware of any death investigation opened up by the National Park Service into his death on federal land? First question, actually 2 parts. There have been 7 arrests made for the swimming pool, also run by the National Park Service. Why the disparity between arrests over the reflecting pool in front of the Lincoln Memorial and 0 arrests, subpoenas regarding the National Park Service in the case of Nolan?
The answer, and I have
Good
the lawyer's
question.
answer, is that is why we raised it, thanks to the CBC and Congresswoman, to a federal level, because the federal government has to answer those questions of involvement, because Horn Island is federal property.
No doubt.
And while they can have a grand jury indict around the reflection pool, then announce they're pulling back the charges, now have with a new special grand jury. They done went to a pool twice and haven't come to Horn Island one time, and it was federal property. So I think that the contradiction there is why we keep raising the question.
Actually, I'm really, really glad that somebody asked that question. You know, you got people getting, charged and arrested over, even the smallest things all over the country. Even the reflection pool, right? Whether you agree with the reflection pool or not, that's another conversation in itself. All I'm saying is people are getting arrested for whatever they're doing near or by or in the reflection pool, right? But then in this particular situation, ain't nobody getting arrested. Ain't nobody getting in trouble. Ain't nobody being brought, ain't nobody getting a BUI, boating while under the influence, right? Under the influence or something like that. You know what I mean? Nobody's getting hit for underage drinking or anything of that sort. No one got hit with anything yet. There were laws that were broken before, even way before Nolan Wells lost his life. Underage drinking, operating heavy machinery, so on and so forth. Those are big things that should matter. And for some odd reason, no one's been hit with nothing. I find that weird, even at a state level, even at a local level, okay? That is very strange. But let's continue.
And also, too, as a matter of record, being in Congress, there is federal oversight. And I sit on Judiciary Committee in Congress. We also have the Senate Judiciary Committee. And oftentimes there are a lot of these kinds of investigations that come before us because we have the authority for oversight. So since this is considered, at this point, would be considered something of national federal interest, that is the reason why we're asking for the accountability to make sure that this is not just swept under the rug.
And I'll say in conclusion, thank you to the media. Now more than ever, the 4th branch of government, we need you. NABJ, we need you now more than ever. We're talking about Nolan Wells, but remember, there were 2 other 18-year-old black teenagers who were unalive in highly questionable situations. Tyler Smith and David Urban. And we need to be talking about these children. We got, the young lady, Alyssa Hackett, who was, brutalized by a state trooper and who cursed her. She's a tiny black teenager. And, Reverend Allen, as we were looking at the video, as a girl dad, if a police officer can't have an interaction with a black teenage girl without body slamming her, cursing her, and punching her in the face, what does that say about where we're at in America in 2026? This is about covering those stories, even when People who may run your news outlets don't want you to cover the stories. We need you to give us a voice in the tradition of Ida B. Wells. We can't have the police just writing the narratives and the reports. We need you all writing those narrative reports. And you got to challenge your white counterparts and say it. Ida B. Wells said famously, Reverend Al, the killers write the police reports. No, we need NABJ to write the reports and the narratives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Well, I mean, there's that. I think it's interesting. You know, I think it's also very important to remember that you know, they are asking, or they are demanding a federal investigation into this whole situation. I think that that's something that matters. And you know, of course, I wanted to pull this up so you guys can see this too, and just kind of circle back on what they said in this press conference. But they talked about the phone and the fact that they're waiting on DA. They're going, wait a second. As much as everybody else is sitting there going like, yeah, fam, why you got the phone still in your hand? Why you got the phone still in your hand? What's up with that? Right? They're going, no. We've been waiting on the DA to set it up so that we can all be in one area only, so we can go through this stuff together. And there ain't no way we're going to relinquish this phone into the hands of people that we do not trust. Like I said before, did I not say in the very beginning of this show, I said it's two different things. It's one, they made an agreement. Let me just say that again. They made an agreement. And number two is mother-loving trust. Trust, everybody. And there's no trust on the table right now. None. Lack of trust. They don't trust nobody. The family don't trust nobody. If they think that the local PD or law enforcement in general has not been doing their due diligence, or that they're being very lackadaisical, very, very slow about getting things taken care of, do you really think that they're just going to be like, oh, here you go, here's the cell phone, no problem, no, I don't need it, have it sitting on your desk for the next 3 months. No problem. No, they don't want any hiccups. They don't want any problems. And there is something else I want to talk to you guys about here in a second. When it comes to those who are sitting there going, well, then they could easily delete things all off the phone. Hold up now. Hold up 1 second, because I know there's a lot of you guys out there that have some things to say. All right. And Copper, I will get to the super chat in just a little bit. Okay. But here's the thing. All right. Attorneys for Nolan Wells' family says they're ready to examine his phone, but they're waiting for the Jackson County DA's office to set the date. This is insane. When the DA should be the one first off in the very beginning saying, hey, you know about that phone? Can we get that phone now? Like, let's get together and let's sit down and let's look through the phone. You know, the joint agreement that we had. Remember, they had a agreement. Hold on. We're going to get to the Brandon Tatum stuff, too, here in just a little bit. So just give me a second here. All right. Lisa Park, okay, a member of Ben Crump's team, said Thursday the DA's office, the family's forensic team, and possibly the FBI have agreed to jointly download and examine the mother-loving device. Now, I want to remind you guys, there was a press conference weeks ago, where they agreed. They came out of the DA's office. They sat down with Miss McIlrath, or however you pronounce her name. And they said, yes, there was going to be more transparency, more communication between law enforcement and the family. Why? Because they went on the griot the day before and said, hey, I haven't talked to any person in the law enforcement in regards to this investigation of my son for over a week. So they went. The DA was like, oh, come on in. Let's have this meeting. And during that meeting with the DA, they said not only would they have more transparency, but they would have a joint viewing and download and examination investigation into Nolan Wells' phone. That's the number one part I was telling you about, which is the agreement. Okay? Now, here's the thing. They also said that they haven't really been talking to the DA. After that meeting, they said they're still waiting on information from the DA when it comes to this investigation, right? And they heard nothing. They've heard nothing during that time. Now, maybe the lack of communication has continued between the family and law enforcement, and AKA the DA as well. So much that they finally said, well, wait a second. We still have this phone sitting in our hands. Let us reach out to them, basically saying like, DA, hey, we all agreed that we would be in the same room to examine this device to make sure if anything was deleted, so on and so forth. If anything nefarious and suspicious happened to the phone, we could find out together in one space and one space only. Can we get that going? And they're still saying that they haven't heard anything from the DA, which is weird. Now, I know some of you guys are going to try to turn that around and make it seem like it's something else, but I don't think it's that. I think that they're being very honest and saying, hey, we are reaching out to them when they should be reaching out to the family. They should have reached out to the family weeks ago, in my personal opinion. Okay? That's just what I truly think. Here's the other thing, too. For those of y'all who think, oh, yeah, this is going to be this is a perfect opportunity for them to go and delete things and fabricate things and blah, blah, blah. You don't think that their forensic digital deep dive, doing their digital witchcraft, hoodoo, voodoo, that they wouldn't be able to figure out if things are fabricated or things were recently deleted to cover, if they were trying to cover up or back up their narrative, back up that story? You see what I'm saying? They'd be able to download the thing, look through all the stuff and go, it looks like somebody tried to delete things on July 30th, let's just say, right? Or they try to delete something on August 3rd. And this way after Nolan Wells lost his life. So clearly it means somebody went and took the phone and deleted something. So as much as anybody's out there going, oh, yeah, they're going to try to cover things up, forensic deep dives into the phone would show otherwise. It would expose them as liars if they are. And I don't think they are with the phone. And it would also mean that they would be able to go through the phone and go, okay, nothing was deleted at all. It looks like things were deleted on the 2nd of July or something like that. You see what I'm saying? They'd be able to prove if this family was doing something sinister just so that they can keep their son's name alive in the zeitgeist. So like I said, for those of y'all who are out here being like, oh, they're doing everything they can, to keep their narrative and make $1 million, think again, guys. Think again. We would be able to find out through this deep dive in his phone if they were to tamper with his phone after his death. Remember that. So if they find out that things were deleted on, let's just say things were deleted on the 11th of July, that means someone in the family or someone that was connected to the family had their hands on the phone and deleted things on July 11th. You see what I'm saying? But you see, the family's doing everything they can to get the phone examined. But they want to be in the same room. Do you blame the family for not wanting to just hand over the phone, especially when they don't trust anyone? They don't trust anyone. So they're like, we walk into this room, we put it down on a table, and that phone never leaves my sight. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. So the fact that they're saying, hey, we are still waiting on the DA to come and hit us up. The DA should have been on this. That's not the parents' job. The parents' job is to try to get clarity and understanding and hire these investigators and so on and so forth. The DA's job is to do the damn investigation, and they're not doing that. That's all on the DA. That's on the DA. But it seems like they've been dragging their feet since day one, since the beginning, okay? But that's another conversation in itself. We got to go into this other thing, into Brandon Tatum, okay? I know he did a part 3 that just dropped, but we're only looking at part 2 right now, okay? Because we definitely have got to check out part 2 with the boys, with Nolan's friends, okay? We definitely need to look at this. All right, there's a lot that we need to talk about, for sure. Shoot, did we even have Nancy Grace? Nancy Grace has been out here, okay? And we need to talk about that. I mean, I may do a very late show tonight just so we could do some proper catch up on that, because there is a lot going on. There's a lot going on. All right. And then, actually, before we go into this, let me just say this really quick for those of y'all who know about this case. Two things are happening right now. One has to do with the biological, this surrogate. Okay, there's a surrogate that is, hold on one second. There is a surrogate that was refusing to do a termination. Okay. Hold on. Was refusing to do a termination. And then, of course, there's some updates on the Luigi Maggioni case that we definitely have got to talk about real quick before we go over to this Brandon Tatum interview. I'm just trying to find the clip or the actual. Hold on. We got to talk about this real quick before we go into Brandon Tatum. I gotta split some of this stuff up, okay? Because it's been a lot of Nolan Wells stuff. It's been Nolan Wells like a mug. But I just want to share a little bit of news for you guys, because we talk about a lot of things on this show other than just Nolan Wells. All right. But for those of y'all who don't remember, the surrogate that was refusing to terminate a pregnancy, okay? Because the actual biological parents that had hired her through a surrogacy agency wanted her to do a termination. She said she refused to do that. Okay. And then all of a sudden, she did give birth to this child in Texas, no less. They have been trying. Okay, so to make a very long story short, they found out through some examination later on in her pregnancy that they found out that this child that she was bearing had some sort of heart defect, and that this child would need some immediate evasive surgery right when it came out the womb. Literally, it is a serious thing. The chances of this child surviving, etc., are very, very slim to none. Okay. This young woman right here, okay, McKenna, said she refused to do the termination. Yet there was a termination clause in their contract. But then she said, no, I have bonded with this child. There's no way I am going to let you guys terminate at all, right? So there's been a lot of push and pull. There's been quite a bit of a tug of war going on with the family, because the parents did not want the child. They really did not want the child. They didn't want to have this child go through this type of surgery and then all that stuff as well. Well, here's the thing. She ended up giving birth to the child, okay? And now the biological parents have custody of the child, at least for now. All right. This is a story that took over. This was, taking over the nation. A lot of people were talking about this because people were sitting there going, hey, she's trying to preserve life. Some people are leaning just solely on the pro-life side. Some others are sitting there going, well, a contract's a contract. And within that contract, they had an agreement that if they wanted to terminate at any time during the pregnancy, they could pull the plug on that situation. And she denied that. She blocked them from being able to do that. She even offered to take the child in as her own, to take full custody over the child. The parents, the biological parents, were not okay with that at all either. So just wanted to share this with you guys really, really quick. She did end up giving birth to this child, but now the parents, the biological parents, are actually taking custody over the child. So the biological parents of the baby born to a surrogate who refused to do this termination against their wishes have custody of the child for now, at least according to their lawyer, who says the political theater surrounding the birth devastated them. So Lee Budner, of this, he's the lawyer for the biological parents, tells TMZ their son, who they named Gabriel, okay, that was born by McKenna West, who's the surrogate, was born Wednesday morning and is now in their physical custody while he receives medical care. Like I said, this kid had a heart defect. They're about to give him heart surgery so that he could possibly survive, okay? So the couple's lawyer adds his clients are placing the baby's health first and following the advice of his medical team. Their lawyer also says, as if the heartbreak of his condition were not enough, they were devastated to see their family tragedy transformed into political theater by the Texas Attorney General's office and McKenna West herself. I mean, she went on Megyn Kelly. She was on a bunch of interviews and all that because of this situation. Okay. This lawyer, okay, Budner, finishes the statement by making it clear the parents' top priority is spending as much time as possible with their child that they didn't even want to have anymore, by the way, but okay, while also ensuring the kid gets the medical care he vitally needs. As you know, doctors discovered the fetus was suffering from hypoplastic left heart syndrome, a rare defect where the left side of the heart does not grow correctly during the 20-week scan, or during a 20-week scan. So the birth agreement included a clause where the biological parents could choose to terminate the situation if an anomaly was found. But West ran off with the child instead, fleeing to Texas, where she hoped she would be seen as the birth mother, the Dallas Morning News reports. She was due to give birth on September 2nd, but the baby was born early. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton obtained an emergency court order requiring 2 Dallas hospitals, UT Southwestern Medical Center and Children's Medical Center of Dallas, to provide life-saving care to the baby, according to reports. And obviously the story is still developing, but this young woman ran off, okay? She lived in Alaska. She came down to California to be a surrogate, to give birth, to bear this child. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, because of this birth defect, the family wanted to end the situation. She said, "Hail to the gnaw. I'm protecting Gabriel." She hopped on a plane. She flew out to Texas in hopes that she could literally fight them legally and become the legal guardian of this child, to have full custody over the child. And apparently it did not work, because she obviously gave birth before, I guess, she could get all that stuff on and popping. And now we're going to find out whether or not she will get full custody over this child, if they're going to surrender the child over to her and give her full custody or not. But we will find out. And of course, the smoke alarm goes off. Gotta love that. So now the other thing is this other piece, real quick, before we go over to Brandon Tatum to watch that interview as well. Here's another piece I wanted to share with you guys too. Luigi Maggioni is expected to take a plea deal in his federal case. Insane, if you ask me. Okay, like, he's been sitting here going like, I'm innocent. Now he's going to possibly take a plea deal. But what is the plea deal? Like, do you remember what we just dealt with this whole Courtney Clenny situation? She got 2 more years. She's spending 2 more years out of her 6-year sentence. 6 years for taking the life of Christian Obumseli. Remember that crap? Remember that crap? That just happened a few days ago. Pretty insane, all right? And now he might get a small sentencing for doing what he did. He manufactured a pew-pew. He hunted this man down in the middle of Manhattan. Yes, I know it's the wee early mornings hours of Manhattan, okay, in the streets of New York, but it's still New York. There are people walking in these streets in New York every day, all day, 24/7. It don't matter, all right? He pulled that trigger on that man, and then he tried to escape. He tried to get away with it, right? And now this mother lover could possibly get a sweet plea deal. What do you think? This is ridiculous, if you ask me. Absolutely ridiculous. But let's take a look at this really, really quick, okay? And then we're going into the Brandon Tatum conversation. So, it's me, Luigi, okay? Luigi Mangione is expected to plead guilty Friday, tomorrow, to federal charges in connection to the unaliving of course, United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Manhattan, according to sources familiar with the matter. This is a big deal. So tomorrow might be a busy day. Another busy day. Oh, God. Whoops. How fitting, right? Because it's Mario. It's me, the Mario. Luigi. How fitting. I love when a plan comes together. Anyway, the expected plea change comes less than a month before he's scheduled to go into trial in a state murder case in connection with the fatal tragedy, the fatal shooting of Thompson, 50, father of two. Yeah, just because he did what he was the CEO of this place, just because he was trash, does not mean he didn't deserve to be, does not mean he deserved to be blankety blank in the middle of the streets. Just saying. Luigi Mangione was meeting with his lawyers this morning at the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, the same spot that Diddy was being held up at, just so you know, in Brooklyn, in advance of tomorrow's federal court hearing in Manhattan, according to a source familiar with the matter. Lawyers for Mangione declined to comment. The Justice Department and a court spokesperson also declined to comment. So he might be doing some stuff tomorrow. This is going to be interesting. It is unclear if Mangione will plead guilty to one or both of the two stalking-related charges in his federal case. While details of Mangione's plea are not immediately clear, he could reverse his decision at any time, even during the actual hearing. So tomorrow, if they are actually doing this plea deal, he could walk in, they could sit there and be like, you have everything ready to go. And if they go, and what do you plead, sir? And he's like, you know what? I don't plead guilty. I plead not guilty. I changed my mind. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's crazy. It's kind of like Jay-Z when he said he retired and then he said, what do you want me to do? I'm sorry. I'm back. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that, but less deadly or more deadly. My bad, because we're talking about Luigi. You know what I'm saying? We thought Jay-Z was done, and then he came right back. It's like when Michael Jordan said he was done. I want to be like Mike. You know what I mean? When we thought he was done, and then he came back and then had a really bad couple seasons playing ball. Remember that? Yeah, it's kind of like that. What you want to do? I'm sorry. I'm back. So I don't know. He may change his mind right there in the courtroom, but we'll see. You never know. The deal might be too sweet. It might be too sweet. Like Courtney Clenny's deal was mother-loving sweet. She got away with murder, y'all. That piece of trash, OF model piece of trash, smell like badussy, got away with that. She got away with murder, if you ask me. But anyway, moving on. Sources familiar with the matter stress the plea negotiations are ongoing and that nothing is final until Mangione himself accepts or enters into a plea deal. If he is convicted, he could face a life sentence. So, defense lawyers had talks with federal prosecutors about a possible plea deal before a scheduled hearing, and that an agreement had at least once appeared close. Legal experts say plea talks are common before most trials. Okay, so NBC legal analyst Coveos said that if a plea deal is reached in the federal case, New York law may bar a subsequent state prosecution for the same conduct. So the Justice Department initially sought the death penalty for Mangione in his federal case. If he pleads guilty to the federal charges, his lawyers are expected to seek dismissal of some or all of the charges in his state case. Jury selection in that case is set to begin next month. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office declined to comment. In his state case, Mangione pleaded not guilty to 8 felony charges, including second-degree M, several counts related to possession of a weapon. If he is convicted in the New York case, he faces the possibility of life in prison. Lawyers for Mangione have been arguing since the beginning of both cases that their client is a victim of double jeopardy. So he's accused of fatally shooting, of course, Thompson as he walked outside the Hilton Hotel in Midtown Manhattan in December of 2024, hours before United Healthcare was set to host an investor conference at the hotel. A days-long multi-state manhunt for the masked man seen in surveillance footage gunning down Thompson on the street gripped the world. It concluded with Mangione's arrest at a McDonald's while he was eating a hash brown. Okay. Upon his arrest, authorities confiscated a notebook prosecutors say belonged to Mangione and contained plans to take the life of Brian Thompson. Okay. So, of course, this has caused a lot of debates. People have been feeling some type of way about this. Some people are gung-ho about him doing what he did. Some are not. I think murder is still murder. That's just what I think, okay? 2 wrongs don't make a right, in my personal opinion, but I leave that decision and that thought up to you. So there's a possibility that he may be taking a plea deal. What say you on that? I'm going to say this, though, real quick. First off, yes, Courtney Clenny is trash, all right? Let me just make that abundantly clear. Courtney Clenny is trash, okay? But then the other thing is, too, I'm hoping that this plea deal keeps him locked up for a very long time. I'm hoping it's not some as sweet of a deal as Courtney Clenny's deal. Because that deal that Courtney Clenny took, woo, it's insane. Woo, it's insane what she took. So I'm very interested into what they gave him. Because here's the thing. The plea deal has to be nice enough or attractive enough for him to even look in that general direction. So we'll see. Because he might be like, yo, it's not life in prison, so I'll take that. I'll take that plea deal, baby. Say less, homie. Where do I sign? Maybe that might be the situation. Or they might be like, hey, you are going to be locked up for a long time, but it won't be your entire life. So we'll see what happens, but what say you guys on that? What say you? I think it's very interesting. But he might get a really nice deal. He just might. We'll see, right? But I digress. We got to get into this. All right. I wanted to share those 2 things just to kind of, shake it up a little bit because we've been talking a lot about Nolan Wells. It has been a Nolan Wells-filled month already. And damn, we almost in the middle of the month already. Diggity damn, okay, which is wild. But we have got to talk about part 2 of the Brandon Tatum interview with some of Nolan Wells' friends. So let's take a look at this interview, shall we? I'm sure it will be an eye-opening experience. I'm going to speed it up a little bit so we can cover a lot of ground. But again, do not forget to hit the like button down below, please and thank you. Don't forget to subscribe. All right, we talk about a lot of things. Also, please go and subscribe to my Shorts channel. Little clips from this show, etc., are in short format. Okay, are now being uploaded on a new third channel. So check it out if you can. Okay, it's Pascal Shorts, one word. Go check it out, and it's actually the link is pinned to the bottom of the chat right now as we speak. Please go over there, okay, and subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated as well. Let's go.
I mean, why would we call the Coast Guard? You know, why would we do the things we did if we know we killed somebody? You don't hear about the pool party because it was on June 27th. You don't hear about anything else that was mentioned. Thousands of lies. And now, the audio comes back and all of a sudden we can hear Nolan yelling in the background, screaming, we're screaming about how he's dead. That's just a complete lie.
If you just murdered your best friend on an island, the dumbest thing you could do would be to call the Coast Guard.
What is your thoughts on that phone call to Cito? Some people have gone out and
okay, here we go. We're going
done enhancements to the audio.
We're going in hot already. Let's go.
And in doing that, created a transcript manually. It doesn't appear that the transcript was derived from an automated system or have any, in my opinion, real integrity with it. What are your thoughts, first, you guys, on the audio, and then I'll get to you, Ed, on could that be a defamatory area the way it was produced? So what do you guys think about that audio?
Well, I can go ahead and say that as you posted that clip of all of us on the boat, as it's rolling, not rolling, but right there sitting in the water, Wyatt's on the phone with Cito in that clip. I mean, he's on the phone. Wouldn't you think that you would have seen Nolan on the bottom of on the floor or something, or scrambling around, or everybody in a small space on the boat looking at him or something? I mean, it's just so crazy to think that. Why would we call Cito if we have a dead body on the boat? I mean, why would we call the Coast Guard? Why would we do the things we did if we know we killed somebody? And then another following up on that is, why aren't we in jail yet? I mean, we're not geniuses.
Oh boy. Okay, first and foremost, I would sit here and say, okay, listen, we got to hear what they got to say. It's totally understandable. Like, we got to hear them, okay? It's still an innocent till proven guilty situation. I know a lot of people are already side-eyeing them and blah, 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 and I think right now, so far, the worst thing that they've done is leave their friend behind. So far. Hold on, because I know some of y'all be like, how dare you say that? Hold on. Tranquilo. Use those pressure points. Woosah, baby. Woosah. But here's the thing. We don't know everything yet. Yes, we need to hear from them, but at the same time, don't say this kind of crap, son. Come on, Jax. This is not what you should be saying. It's like, well, why aren't we in jail? We ain't super smart. You know what I mean? It's like, don't say that, bruh. Like, I haven't seen this whole thing yet, but I have a feeling that this is going to ruffle a lot of feathers. This interview. I don't even know what part 3 is because I know it just came out just a little bit ago. I know it's going to make some people feel some type of way, I'm sure, but I feel a lot of people felt some type of way about this one too. Okay, let's continue.
There's no way we could have done a murder. I mean, there's no way we could have covered it up, especially out there with that many people. Go ahead. I think, especially about the Cito call, I think people, regardless of who it is going to believe what they want to hear. I think half these people, or not half these people, but some of these people you can't convince, regardless. They're going to believe what they want to believe. If they want to believe that my friends and I had something to do with Nolan dying, then they're going to believe that regardless of what you put out. But you put out, Brandon, that a clip of the boat when Wyatt was on the phone with Cito, and it is boldly clear that Nolan was not on the boat with us. You can literally almost see down to the deck. And as you can see in that picture, everybody is completely casual while Wyatt's on the phone with Cito. Yeah, we were scrambling around trying to get the boat fixed, but the guys were, in the video, you can see me, I'm sitting on the bow. If there was someone dying on the boat, why would everybody just be sitting there waiting to either get towed in or in the first place, like Jack said, why would Wyatt call Cito? It's crazy.
And this is a part that I agree with. Sorry, again, but it is a part that I agree with. I feel like if someone is dead or someone is dying on the boat, I feel like it would be a different reaction. I feel like there would not be somebody calling Cito for that. Maybe the Cito call would be like, yo, I got a friend of mine who's dying on the boat or something of that sort. I'm just saying, just to be fair and to think about both sides of this situation, I can see that. But then some are looking at these guys like they're sinister, evil individuals, and maybe they did this while trying to cover up something that was going on. I don't know. It's almost sociopathic for them to be, well, it's not even almost, it is sociopathic for them to just be on the phone with Cito while somebody's dying on the boat and not saying anything about it. That's just diabolical, if you ask me. Okay, but we'll see if that's true or not, right?
The reason we turned down Coast Guard is, why would we call Coast Guard if Cito could pull us in? But we fixed the boat and we ran into Fort Bayou, and that's it.
But then, see, that's the thing too. Like Angie just said, you know what I mean? Then why cancel Cito if you were in dire straits? If you really needed that help, why? Why change that? Why cancel it? But that's something that still needs to be explained. You see what I'm saying?
The Cito call was completely enhanced, and these people just want to believe what they want to hear. And that's exactly what they're doing. So it's just crazy to me that people have tried to twist this and twist the audio. When we came out with the first interview, it debunked half these lies. And now you don't hear about any of it. You don't hear about the pool party because it was on June 27th. You don't hear about anything else that was mentioned. Thousands of lies. And now, oh, the audio comes back. And all of a sudden we can hear Nolan yelling in the background, screaming, we're screaming about how he's dead. That's just a complete lie. And it's another lie to push this narrative that people don't want to turn down. It's insane to me.
Sorry to interrupt. I know you're enjoying this incredible interview.
Bro.
Make sure you hit the to naysayers out there, in your opinion, that are naysayers.
Hold on real quick. I understand that these kids could be angry. I get being frustrated. Okay. And yes, I know that Bart towed the boat. I understand Bart towed the boat. I understand that. I understand that part. But I'm just saying, wouldn't you want an expert or somebody who knows what they're doing? I don't know. Like I said, they chose to go with Bart maybe because they were worried about being drunk. Clearly in the phone call, Wyatt, you could hear Wyatt is extremely drunk. Huh? What? We just need our boat on sank. You know what I mean? Like, you could clearly hear that the dude is drunk. So maybe they were like, yo, I'd rather have one of my other friends who's here, who's also just as litty as me right now, than have Cito come over here, because they could call, I don't know, the police of the sea. I don't know what they're called, okay? But they could call them and get us in trouble for underage drinking and operating a boat while intoxicated. Never mind, let's just call up Bart and he just have Bart tow the boat, okay? Just tow the boat. You know what I mean? That's possible. I mean, I get it. But, at the same time, that's one of the main reasons why, that's one of the main things that people are talking and asking questions. Why cancel Cito if you're trying to get your boat on sank? Okay, your boat. You're trying to get your boat on sank. So what's up with that? You got Bart towing the boat. Why? That's weird. But I can see why, if you're underage, drinking and not wanting to get in trouble, you're trying to cover your ass as much as you can. This whole thing's a mess, okay? But let us continue.
I want to give you, a 30-second opportunity to say what you would want to say to people regarding what you're saying are lies that have been told about you. And I could start here and we'll go all the way down to and with you, Ed. But Morgan, if you had an opportunity to have this projected to everybody in the United States of America, many people who have made statements about you and about what occurred that day, what would you say to them? Like just a 30-second, this is what you would want to convey.
First I would say that, it's proven in evidence that they're all lies. I think that most of these people are just going to, I say most of these people, a lot of these people that have posted stuff out there, they've just been lies backed by no evidence. And if I had one thing to say to them, I'd say, do your research before you go out saying something that's not true, that could hurt someone. Just do your research. It's easy. All you have to do is just scroll like they do all day long and find the evidence that's right in front of their face. And it'll prove its own facts.
I could say I would want to add on to that, do the proper research. Sort through all the lies. And a lot of these stuff, you can just tell straight off the bat it's lies. And for one, it's defaming us. And for two, it makes you look like a dummy. You're just saying stuff, just pulling it out of who knows where. And you just look like an idiot on your phone making this TikTok or whatever.
Okay, let me just let him finish.
Do your research, man. If you can't simply do that, don't get on your phone and start making a video.
Okay, so here's the thing. First and foremost, let me just say this. It's clear that they're frustrated. Understandably, they're frustrated. Understandably, they're annoyed. Totally get it. But you also got a very angry mob out there. You got the court of public opinion feeling some type of way about these boys. This is not the approach to possibly get back in their good graces or to get them onto your side. The condescending approach here is it's not going to work. You understand that? I'm sure, I have not seen it yet, but I'm sure some people have already reacted to this situation and being like, oh, so he wants to talk to us. Oh, he wants to be like that. Oh, okay, bet. You see what I'm saying? Clearly he's a teenager. Clearly he's a kid. Clearly he didn't get any media coaching, but this is just, he's throwing logs in the fire. You know what I mean? He's throwing kerosene on the fire. It's not making the situation any better. You see what I'm saying? Rather than him just taking a more humble approach and being them. Actually, the only one who's taking a humble approach right now is Morgan. I'm gonna keep it a bean. Morgan's just keeping it quiet, and I know he's nervous. You could tell he's very nervous. He's got a nervous energy, right? But he's like, you could tell there's nervousness going on here with Morgan. Jax and Tyler, or Jax and Warren, they mad. I'm just saying, people gonna have them for lunch with this video. But let's continue. This is not the way to talk to the general public, especially when they're looking at you with very inquisitive eyes. When they're side-eyeing you, this is not how you treat them, because then they go, oh, see, he's guilty. That's not what you want, right? So let's continue.
It's just kind of concerned me with like how people have the time of day to just make up complete lies out of something that they have no evidence of and to post on social media to put other people down. It's insane to me, like how like just people push this and want to make this a story that it's absolutely not. I don't know what happened to Nolan. My friends don't know what happened to Nolan. But for people to come around and say, oh, this happened for a fact, and I know this, and there's no telling me otherwise, then that's just stupid. You have no, like, half these people that are saying all these crazy things on the internet, those lies have already been debunked. There's evidence supporting this is a lie. Like, why are you still saying this? These people just have no idea what they're talking about, and it's very clear because a lot of these people just speak without thinking and post stuff without thinking. But at the end of the day, it just looks really stupid on their page and whatever they're posting on. But it's just sad. Like, people really take the time out of their day to post a bunch of BS lies on a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds who have never done anything to hurt anyone and, loved their friend. Like, I love that man more than anybody. And like, so did all of my friends. And it's absolutely horrible that these people want to come on and push this narrative that we had something to do with this or we killed our best friend. It's just sick to me, Brandon. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, this might be too long, but I have a few things I need to add. First of all, with respect to Warren, if you just murdered your best friend on an island, the dumbest thing you could do would be to call the Coast Guard, to call a federal law enforcement agency and tell them, hey, can you guys go out and check out this island and look for Nolan Wells? Well, that's exactly what Warren did. Warren called the Coast Guard, and that is one of many very compelling facts. He got back and he called the Coast Guard. Does that sound like a guilty man to you?
Now, several hours later, he called the Coast Guard, but maybe he should have called Cox. Get it? Because that's the hat that he's wearing. Nobody? He should have called Cox. Okay, we're gonna move on, but he should have called Cox apparently.
All right, now these are all American young men, incredible young men, and they did a lot more than just that. I won't go through all of it now, but they did a lot of heroic things after the fact, and they did the best they could, and they tried for their dear friend. All of their actions are the actions of innocent men, not guilty men, and again, they are categorically, completely, and totally innocent. All right, but that's not the end of it. I'll say this again. If you lied, you won't be able to hide. If you lied, you won't be able to hide. And you're going to be held accountable. And if you lied about these fine young men, these good Ocean Springs people, you're going to be held accountable. You're going to be sued. I tell you, there are going to be lawsuits because we have already identified some of the worst offenders. And it may have felt good for them in the moment, instant gratification, sugar high. They got their sugar high. But long after that sugar high wears off, they're going to find themselves in court, and it's going to be excruciatingly painful. The only thing I can say about that is it won't be quite as painful as what they did to Morgan, Jax, and Warren.
So Ed, I got one question for you, because the way you guys articulate the defamation, obviously, if someone puts out online lies, knowingly and intentionally do them, knowing that they're lies, in part, that's a part of the defamation. But is the racial component, because when someone goes out and says things without evidence, projecting that this was a racial encounter, is that a part of this defamation, or does that not count as far as your tactics on defending them or defending their honor, I guess, in this situation?
Well, one thing that we're never going to do is we're never going to speculate, and we're never going to guess like some other folks who got their sugar highs and are sucking up all the oxygen in the room for now, and they'll have their day in court. But we can talk about what might motivate people. And I won't talk about any particular people because I am not inside their head right now. But I can tell you that racism for profit is a major factor here. And we don't have to name names. But racism for profit, generating outrage for profit, in the end, it's all about money. And we don't even have to think about whether the racism that these people are talking about is real or fake or anything like that. It's racism for profit. And it's part of the motive. But when you have offenders who defame innocent young men, fine innocent young men, upstanding young men, it might be a constellation of motives. Profit, animus, stupidity, ignorance. Maybe they just don't like evidence. See, we really like evidence here. Tyler Cox really likes evidence. I really like evidence. Morgan, Jax, Warren, we really like evidence. And that's the difference between the other guys and us. And we have evidence. We have the receipts, we have the goods, and we're going to be presenting it in court. And I will say, once we present it in court, we're going to say, now you can't leave.
Do you think that the other side, because I've seen through social media that there's a preparation of lawsuits against the boys. Is there merit, according to your knowledge in this space, is there merit to pursuing lawsuits against them?
I am so glad you asked that question, because I can answer that question definitively and unequivocally. Anybody who sues Jax, Warren, or Morgan, they're going to end up paying our attorney's fees. Guaranteed. Any lawsuit, and I'm going to warn anyone right now, anybody who is thinking for 1 second about suing these fine young men, these good Ocean Springs people, you're going to pay their attorney's fees. You're going to lose. You're going to get annihilated. You're going to get crushed. You have nothing.
Completely obliterated.
And here's the beauty of it. We know you have nothing because we actually have the evidence. We know what happened. And I'll just say it like this. We have a pair of aces and you have 2-7 off suit.
So with all the negative that's going on, obviously there's been positive that I've seen that have come y'all's direction. I felt like when Warren came out and did the interview the first time, of course, a lot of people decided to say a lot of negative things, but then there's a tremendous amount of people that were very supportive and thankful that they had a chance to hear the other side. So what are y'all's thoughts and feelings on the other side of this, where people have been supportive? Kind of what are your thoughts on that? What have you experienced in that area?
I want to start off and just say that has helped us tremendously through this. One, mentally knowing that there are people on our side that are here to help and want to help and are actually helping with the online stuff. And I want to say thank you to everybody who has made a video on the positive side of things and showing the actual facts and debunking a lot of false information and giving to the Gifts and Go. Yeah, that's another really big one. Thank you so much for that, giving to the Gifts and Go. That means a lot, more than you could ever imagine.
Yeah, Morgan?
I just want to say thank you to all the people out there. I personally went through and looked at all the, there's a prayer thing. You can say a prayer on there. And I personally went through and looked at all the prayers, and I'm just really appreciative of all the people that I know that have our backs and have supported us through all of this. It's really helped us out.
That's great.
I mean, here it is, and of course they're gonna say more here. Just really quick, I want to get the super chat here. Show me evidence these guys were responsible. Not just this place has a history. They are shady. This lawyer definitely verified their cell data locations on the July 4th. I have not heard about that, Jacqueline, but I appreciate you telling me about that. I'm assuming that information was given on Nancy Grace's episode. If that's the case, then yes, it'll most likely be a late show tonight, talking about the Nancy Grace interview with the lawyer over here. We definitely will be talking about that here in just a little bit, or in a few hours later on tonight, for sure. So just get ready for that. And see, I'm gonna be real. Somebody just said I like Morgan. So far, he's the only out of the three. He's the likable one. The other two, like, I get why these kids are angry. I understand the kids being angry, but he got the memo right. What I was talking about, what I was saying, that the other two should be kind of approaching and should be, addressing the world about things right now, how they should be addressing the world. You know what I'm saying? Morgan's doing exactly that. They're not doing that. So, of course, everybody's going to be like, ooh, Morgan's a really nice boy. And the other two, they're angry, they're defiant, they're almost arrogant after the fact. Let me just say this. I understand the anger. I do. All right? But I think that if you're trying to get back in the good graces, or just trying to not have the angry mob angry, there's a different approach here. And the two of them are not doing that approach, okay? I think Morgan, yes, I truly believe that Morgan's just trying to do his best. I think he's trying just to be, listen, I'm not here to start nothing, but I'm here because I want to show you guys that I'm innocent, right? Truly. And yes, T, the internet is vicious. Both sides are being attacked without clear evidence. It's all emotional. Yes, it's all emotional. It's all feelings over facts instead of facts over feelings, and that's the problem, right? And the people who are all up in their fee-fees about this particular case, and they listen to this segment, this part 2, and they're only listening to Jax and Warren, they're gonna be mad. They're gonna be mad. Let's continue though.
Obviously I want to give thanks. My friends and my family really appreciate it. I mean, it's hard to get by every day without having a group of people behind you. And it really helps my friend and I's, especially like mental side of things, knowing that we have a community behind us that is willing to stand for us and stand for the truth. And, we can't thank them enough. Like, seriously, with, like Morgan said, the prayers and just even the money and the gifts and go. It's a blessing from the Lord. And, we can't thank everybody enough. Seriously, it's been more than enough. So
I think it's also interesting. You just said, where did it go? Mary, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. The fundraising with the beautiful hanging fish is disgusting. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. And I can see how some people can look at that in a certain angle for sure, which is not great at the end of the day, especially with the whole Nolan Wells situation. They could look at that as a double entendre in a way, like in a racial way, you know what I mean? A racial double entendre, if that's even a phrase. We're gonna pen it today. Okay, we're gonna pen that phrase, but you get what I'm saying. So yeah, I can see how some people could look at that fundraising clip or that fundraising website and show the two boys holding up fish that are hanging off of a rope and feel some type of way about that, for sure. But here's the thing. I also noticed that it's raising money for the boys, but the only two boys are in that photo. So is it only raising money for Warren and Jax and not Morgan and the rest of them? You know what I mean? But I digress. Let's continue.
So, Ed, what are your thoughts on this? I know you see the outpouring of support for the boys. I know that obviously with your credentials, you're taking on this case, which is a huge undertaking, representing multiple young people in this, with so many people that you have mentioned that could be possibly going to get sued in this. So what would you like to say to the people about this?
Well, the most important thing is that these three outstanding young men who are completely innocent are worth standing behind. It's worth standing behind them. It's worth supporting them, because these three gentlemen here, they're going to go out into the world and they're going to do incredible things for society, right? These are three young men who want to help people and who are going to help people. They're just wonderful souls, wonderful human beings. So if you want someone to support, if you're looking for someone to support, and if you're looking for people who tell the truth and like evidence and common sense, you should support these guys, not the other guys who traffic in lies.
If you're tired of seeing your producer and your manager all up in the videos, shucking and jiving, taking all they shine, come down to death row. You feel me?
All right, now there's a Give, Send, Go page, right? Those donations are very important. We have an incredible legal team. I'm very, very privileged to be working with Tyler Cox, right? Is that right? So, but we're going to be bringing powerhouse lawsuits, absolutely powerhouse. But, right, it does require support, and any support is greatly appreciated. But there are also things that people can do that have nothing to do with money. All we're asking people to do is embrace reality, embrace common sense, and don't give in to your worst impulses. Do the research. Read, look at the evidence, right? Start judging credibility and look at the respective motivations, the motives on both sides, right? On one side, you have some folks who maybe are not motivated by such great things. But what we have on our side and why you should support us, one word for you. My favorite word, which is virtue. We've got virtue, right? We've got the honesty, we've got the integrity, right? We're doing the right thing here. Honesty, integrity, that's us. Honesty, integrity, and the truth. And those are very high virtues.
He kind of talks like Trump. Have you not noticed that? I mean, he uses better words. You know, he's better with his vocabulary, right? He's a little bit more articulate, but it's very much like salesman talk. Have you not noticed that? Am I the only one who sees that? Interesting. It's very much like a salesman thing. Very big deal. Huge deals. Nobody sees it? Okay, maybe I'm just the only one who sees that. Yeah, I heard Chuck. What up, Chuck? Sup, Chuck? I heard that too. I heard Nancy Grace went in. Made it, gave him a new butt-o. You know what I'm saying? I heard. That's why I'm like, tonight we gonna look at that. Okay? Tonight we're gonna check that out. Okay? But let's take a look at this.
And that's why you should support these incredible young men.
Well, thank you guys for
okay, and that's it. I'm assuming
agreeing to do an interview. I really the purpose, and I think you guys can agree to this or lament to it, that the purpose is just to get the message out there. I'm not an investigator in this case. I've done this for a living for a very long time. I know when people are lying and when they're not, and I want the world to know the only reason I'm even willing to talk to you guys is because you've shown through evidence that you've shown me, and also through your character, that you guys are trustworthy, and you're at least in good faith telling me your side of the story. And so I just want to say thank you guys for doing the interview, and good luck.
Thank you.
Oh, and the music. Who did it? Was it him?
You just watched part 2.
Okay, you just saw part 2. Yep. We already saw that. Thank you so much. We just saw part 2. Now, here's the thing, all right? It's the vibe. It's a vibe for me. Yeah, he's a New Yorker. I get it, okay? I know many a New Yorker, and not all of them talk like that, okay? But I will say, yes, he is a New Yorker. I get that, all right? First off, let me get the super chat here really quick. Black Lake, thank you so much for the love. We need to clock the Nolan was like a brother. Let's never forget the past tense statement. Interesting. That's a good point. I am kind of curious about that too, but let's be real. That's the only time that they said anything like that was, from what we know, is when after he passed or after he disappeared. Actually, is after he disappeared. Oh, interesting. Jack said that. According to, if my memory serves me correctly, okay, don't at me, don't get mad, I'm just saying, apparently when Elmore Nolan's dad, biological dad, by the way. Some of y'all were like, you know, that's not his biological dad. His dad died. No, that's his dad, baby. That's his biological father. All right. So apparently, when he went over to Jack's home to get the keys to Nolan's car, Jax came out of the house and said he was like a brother to me. He did say that. He's like, yeah, but he came to me and said he was like a brother to me, you know? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. You know, okay, I appreciate you saying that, but, you know, can you at least go and, you know, get the keys and so on and so forth. He said that at that time when he was only missing at the time, just so you know. Jacqueline, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. Say what you want, but this lawyer has a high win record resulting in millions having to be paid out for defamation. He's not risking his career on some BS. Okay. Say what you want. Oh, yeah. I mean, here it is. Listen. Benjamin Crump ain't got time for no BS either. And this guy right here, this lawyer right here, ain't got time for that BS either. You got two high-powered lawyers that are going to work and fight tooth and nail for the people that they are representing, whether that is for justice for a particular person that was found dead, or for kids who are getting attacked, literally attacked, without proof of guilt yet. Okay, so both sides are doing the same doggone thing. Remember that. Both sides are doing both things. They're bringing a high-powered lawyer. They brought in, Nolan Wells' family brought in a high-powered lawyer. They're doing the same doggone thing. They're using Give, Send, Go to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. Nolan's parents used a crowdfunding website as well to raise over $900,000, $950,000. Okay? They're both doing the same doggone thing. They're just doing it differently. They're doing it on their own separate times, and they have their own separate agendas going on. That's it. All right? Now, whether you like this lawyer or you like Benjamin Crump, okay, that's up to you. Okay? But one thing is for sure, I know a lot of people feel some type of way about both lawyers, right? They feel some type of way about the fact that this guy is MAGA till he die. And then you got Benjamin Crump, who is not MAGA. Some say, you know, he's race baiting as well. All right? Just saying. They're doing the same doggone thing as Nolan Wells' family is doing. Okay? That's it. Now, here's the thing. I was going to say this too. One thing is for sure that I think this is just very interesting, that you have these kids. One of them, you know, Morgan's being very, very, very demure. You know what I mean? Very demure, very whatever, you know. He's just being very cool. You know, he's just being like, hey, I'm just really happy. You know, I'm thankful for the support, blah, blah, blah. You know, he was like a brother to me. I loved him too. We just want transparency. We want justice too. We don't want to get attacked. And he's just very calm and being very humble. The other two, I think, are grabbing the energy of their lawyer. It's almost as if they had a meeting. They had a whole conversation before they went live with Brandon Tatum. And suddenly the cockiness and the arrogance came out. And it may be solely because that they have their lawyer right there having their back. Something to think about. Something to think about. This guy's a high-powered lawyer. Big time. Let's not get it twisted. We already know. Yes. Big time defamation lawsuits. Okay? Big time lawsuits in general. This guy doesn't suck. All right? That's for sure. He doesn't suck. You don't have to like his attitude. He's good at what he does. You don't have to like his personality. He's gonna get what he needs to get done, right? So again, very interesting interview. Very interesting interview. Of course, you know, I'm gonna try my best to be back on later this evening to watch the Nancy Grace interview, because we definitely need to check that out. I'm gonna try. You know, you know, as soon as I get done with these shows, I got a life. outside of this. So I try my best to get back here, but a lot of times life be lifing. Okay. But I'm going to try my best to get back here in a few hours to do the Nancy Grace interview with this lawyer right here. Apparently the people are saying she tore him to shreds. I haven't seen the interview yet. And I'm looking forward to seeing it with you guys for sure. Okay. So be sure to be back here to see that. But what say you guys on this? Okay. Yeah, he doesn't suck. He's all cocks. Yep. He's all cocks. So what say you guys on this? What are your thoughts on this? Okay. Still, they're like, hey, it's fabricated. The audio's fake. It's fabricated. People are making things up. It's ridiculous. We're tired of getting harassed. We're tired of getting targeted. We have nothing to do with the death. We have nothing to do with the death of Nolan Wells. What say you? What are your thoughts on this? Okay. Definitely comment down below in the family chat. And we'll be talking here very, very soon. So I'm going to wrap up the show, but I appreciate you guys being here and being a part of the conversation. So that's the show. Make sure you hit that like button down below. Crush it, do what it do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. If you are, oh, snap. I forgot about the super chat. Hold on. I am sorry, Copper Mountain. I am sorry. Hold on. Let me grab this because it disappeared and I have to pull it up from somewhere else. Copper Mountain. Let's see. You said, thank you so much for the super chat. Again, I appreciate it. Anyone ask about the mom subpoena social media? Okay, she did. No one asked about that. No one did in the press conference, from what I gathered. But maybe they did. I didn't hear it. But they're still waiting on. They have like until the end of this month to get the results back from social media, from the social medias that they actually subpoenaed. Okay. That's Snapchat, that's Meta, and all that. So we'll see. They have till the end of the month to do all that. All right. But that is the show. Thank you so much for tuning in, being a part of the conversation. Hit the like, hit the follow. Make sure you do that on those other social media platforms. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, please, and thank you. Crush it, do what it do. Okay, hit that subscribe button on my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Also, go to the my third channel, Pascal Shorts. It's pinned to the bottom of the chat right now as we speak. Go over there. Please go and subscribe to that channel. That would be greatly appreciated. Okay, bunch of clips, a little moments, so on and so forth over there on that as well. Okay, please and thank you. All right, trying to get to 1,000 subscribers over there so we can get that thing nicely oiled up and cooking with grease. Okay, hit that join button down below, become a member, check out that Patreon, and of course, check out pascalmerch.com. Check it out. We got some really great stuff over there, pascalmerch.com. Anyway, guys, it is time to get going. Much love to you guys. Have a great rest of your day. I will try my best to get back here this evening. We'll see how that all goes, okay? Fingers crossed. Anyway, it's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.